Gildan Media presents Your Coach in a Box, affordable, life-changing audio programs.
Influence. 47 forbidden psychological tactics you can use to motivate, influence, and persuade your prospect. Written and read by Dan Locke. Prepare yourself. You're about to discover and grow rich with 47 forbidden psychological tactics. Honor code. There's no honor among thieves, but there is honor in the marketing industry. If you're not promoting a legitimate product or service, if you're trying to pull the wool over the eyes of consumers, if you're thinking of using this program to run a scam on the internet, stop now. The psychological tactics described in this program are so powerful, so mind-bending, so effective, and irresistible that they can give anyone an unfair advantage in dealing with people who aren't familiar with the forbidden techniques of influence. Now, I can't come to your home or place of business and check up on you. All I can ask is that you honor a simple code of ethics, to use the forbidden psychological tactics with care, applying what you learn in an ethical way to unsuspecting consumers. The internet has turned the world into a very small place, and what goes around comes around. And it comes around fast, and usually takes a big bite out of your ass. So do unto others. You know what I mean? Introduction. Forbidden psychological tactics? They don't work on me. Now, every web server on the planet has told himself or herself this lie at one time or another. But don't kid yourself. Marketing psychology can influence anyone who is online. Even master marketers like me, despite all I know about forbidden psychological tactics and advertising speak, and despite all my built-in sales resistance, I'm just as susceptible to persuasion as anyone else. Because at its core, marketing psychology is the power of persuasion from the inside. The key, of course, is deciding what persuasive tactic will grab a web server by the eyeballs and hold on to him. Now, a brief pause here. Note of apology to my female listeners. Okay, I admit it, I'm a man. Now, although I imagine my name probably gave that away. I think like a man, and when I speak in generalizations, I tend to think and use the pronoun he, not he, she, and not one. I hope you can forgive me. Anyway, as I was saying, the key to marketing psychology online and off too is deciding the specific persuasive tactic or combination of tactics to use. Will fear be a motivator? What effect would a celebrity endorsements have? Can you satisfy greed? Everything you do on your website should be coordinated to grab a web server by the eyeballs and by the emotions and hold on to him until he cries, "Please, take my money, please." Our psychological hot buttons for buying guide our decisions for buying necessities as well as luxuries. For example, why do soccer moms dream of owning an all-terrain vehicle when the toughest thing they go over is a speed bump in a mall parking lot? Why would an office worker who's a great cook line up with their colleagues to buy a cinnamon bun from the donut cart when she would whip up better and cheaper buns in her own oven? Why does a teenage girl need to store thousands of songs on an iPod or on an iPhone when all she listens to are the same 6 top 40 tunes? Necessity may be the mother of invention, but desire is the mother of all online sales success. When you have desire working for you, it's not a question of selling the consumer on your product or service. It's simply a matter of satisfying their needs. Creating that desire is what marketing psychology is all about. With the tactics you'll be learning, your online sales message will create interest and then change interest into desire, insatiable desire, so real that you can see it, feel it, and taste it desire. You create desire that easily transforms a maybe into a gotta have it. The transformation is magical. Building the desire is a little bit more scientific. The science of psyops for the online battlefield. Psychological operations are used in online marketing to overcome any objections consumers may have about making a purchase. The most effective persuaders are the least obvious, and this is going to make your day. They work regardless of who is doing the selling or what exactly they're selling. I'm speaking from experience here. I've worked with hundreds of clients in dozens of industries. Personally, I've sold millions of dollars worth of merchandise and services on the internet, and my success hasn't been limited to websites only. I've sold using direct mail, email, even point-of-purchase marketing in good old brick-and-mortar stores. Wherever my business career has taken me, I've had success using the simple but astonishingly effective tactics in this audio program. Now you can too. You'll be pleased to know that the forbidden psychological tactics don't require a PhD in mental health or a master's in business. The techniques you'll be learning are shockingly effective, but there's nothing complex about them. And whether you're new to the business of marketing online or trying to expand your success beyond its current levels, you'll understand each and every concept. More importantly, you'll be able to instantly translate these killer techniques and tactics to your own business. Marketing is a serious business, but that doesn't mean that learning about it has to be dry and boring. I hope that you'll find this audio program very user-friendly and easy to use, as well as valuable and comprehensive as well. And oh, by the way, pay attention for locked and loaded insight throughout this entire program. They are golden nuggets of information that will give you the edge. Here comes one right now. Locked and loaded insight. Are you ready for success? The power of marketing is huge. You can turn your weekly order flow into a flood of business. Can you handle it? Now, before turning your website into a hotbed of activity, be sure the fulfillment side of your sales equation is also in place. There's nothing worse than not being able to meet the demand. Okay, you're finished with the introduction. You put your toe in the water and gotten your feet wet with the basic strategy behind the forbidden psychological tactics. Now it's time to dive in. Forbidden psychological tactic number 1. Popular appeal. 50,000 Frenchmen can't be wrong. Cole Porter. Popularity is an interesting thing. It feeds on itself. A Japanese cream puff chain has taken NYC by storm because of a clever marketing strategy. They paid dozens of people to stand in line and buy cream puffs. When people saw all those people, they didn't even ask what product was on sale. They just joined the line so that they could get theirs. McDonald's proudly announces over 1 billion burgers sold, making it clearly the popular choice. And why do you think the studios market a film as a top-grossing movie of the weekend, especially if the critics have been less than kind in their reviews? It's because, to a consumer's mind, popular with other people equals good for me. For most people, making an online buying decision on their own is a scary thing. Some don't trust their instincts and they think they'll make a bad decision. This fear is compounded by the worry that it's harder to correct a problem when something goes wrong with an online purchase. This is especially true for consumers who aren't comfortable with the internet and are considering their first online purchase. With so much fear out there, can widget TalkingWallClocks.com survive? Can their profitable but relatively unknown company convince senior citizens that they can shop online with confidence? Yes, especially if the sales message includes a statement like, 6,000 senior centers and more than 50,000 silver folks have purchased a widget wall clock online. Some consumers are afraid that they'll be taken advantage of. They may have been burned in the past, or they may just be displaying the fear of sellers that grips the average 21st century consumer. Open a magazine, watch a TV news show, or check your local paper, and you're likely to find horror stories about consumers having a bad buying experience with a certain business. The internet has taken a beating through the years, much as direct mail, used by fly-by-night businesses routinely to take the money and run and disappeared. So can widget exercisewizard.com overcome the hesitation of health club owners and workout enthusiasts who are suspicious of equipment that won't be worth the time it takes to assemble. Yes, indeed, like this statement. Widget Wizard is the most requested piece of equipment at more than 10,000 health clubs worldwide. You see how that works? Fear of a bad decision is also common for people who are purchasing a product they have never used before or considering a service from a provider that they don't know. This is a particularly tricky issue for professional service companies like car repair, air conditioning maintenance, etc., etc. On the internet, the fear of the unknown is a common obstacle to success for web design firms. Can Widget Web Design convince a brick-and-mortar jewelry store owner who knows nothing about the internet that they deliver good service? Hell yes, the folks at Widget Web Designs aren't just great web designers, they are also great marketers. Widget Web Design is the #1 choice for technophobic business owners with no fear of making money online. Consumers listen to the voice of the people. It stands to reason if a product is an online bestseller that many people must like it, so the consumer thinks, I'll like it too. Lock and loaded insight. The safety net that allows a consumer to jump into a purchase without fear is popularity. Forbidden psychological tactic number 2, exclusivity. A limited offer has unlimited appeal. Have you ever walked into one of those trendy, high-end ladies' boutiques that have just 3 or 4 dresses on display in an enormous space? Ever wonder why? It's exclusivity at work. In a world where mass production is the name of the game, an offer of exclusivity is especially appealing. That's why so many marketing messages use phrases like limited edition, limited production, limited numbers available. Ladies' clothing is mass produced, so displaying only one dress at a time makes it appeal to be as rare as any couture garment. And it's this illusion of uniqueness that gives it the one-of-a-kind allure that can justify an outrageously high price tag. You'll notice that I highlighted the word illusion. Don't kid yourself. Miss Shopper isn't an idiot. She knows the difference between a dress that's off the rack and a designer original that comes from the house of Widget. Now, but despite what she knows, it's what she feels that will convince her to buy. And that long dress on display will make her feel like she's getting something that no one else has, even though she knows better. So your challenge as an online marketer, give your website, your product, and service an air of exclusivity. Locked and loaded insight. People would beg you to take their money if you can make them feel special and a part of a private club. It's no accident that dozens of brand names trade on the word exclusive. My favorite is a woman's deodorant called Exclusively Yours. Now, since deodorant is a personal product, the idea of exclusivity just for you, just for your body, just for your armpits is extremely appealing. Now, of course, it's hard to imagine that any deodorant that's being marketed to millions of women is very exclusive. And Exclusively Yours really isn't significantly different than a lot of the other deodorants on the shelves. This makes it proof positive of the power of exclusivity. We already know that positive emotions are the big dogs when it comes to motivating people to make a purchase. An exclusive online offer gives buyers a tremendous jolt of feel-good by making that part of an inner circle. The concept of exclusivity is also extremely concrete. There's no interpretation required. No need to figure out what it means. Only 10 available means exactly what it says. It's easier for a consumer. Locked and loaded insight. When your website delivers a message that says this is a limited edition, the emotional message consumers receive is, I'll have something that other people won't and they will envy me. Essentially, exclusivity puts a buyer in a one-up position from everyone else, providing a big boost to the ego along with bragging rights. It can be used to market all kinds of products and services from fine art. Let me give an example. Only 24 art lovers will be able to claim the Mona Widget limited edition paintings for their own. It will not be reissued, so you must act now if you want to own it. To health and fitness. The information you learn at the Widget workout workshop is not available to the average workout enthusiast. And financial training. Mr. Widget only accepts 24 students each year to participate in his highly successful financial training program. Forbidden psychological tactic number 3. Superiority. In a dog-eat-dog world, everyone wants to feel like a big dog. An Oprah, a Donald Trump, a Bill Gates, someone whose quality of living is light years away from that of the masses. For the average person, being a billionaire is just a dream, but feeling like a billionaire is made possible by luxury brands. When a consumer buys what the rich people buy, a superior product, a premium product, it makes them feel like a superior person. Car buyers choose Mercedes-Benz and BMW because in their minds, these high-end automobiles immediately identify them as a cut above and someone to be envied. The luxury car owner believes that the qualities of the vehicle, such as valuable, unique, and of course superior, mirror and reflect their own attributes. Superiority is also the reason that designer fragrance like Chanel and Gucci are so popular. Although the perfume is definitely ready to wear, its designer name imparts an air of superiority along with its fragrance. It's easy to invoke the quote-unquote god of superiority if you're selling luxury items. But does this forbidden psychological tactic have an implication for everyday goods and services too? It certainly does. Superiority doesn't automatically come with a high price tag. A product or service is superior when it's better than the rest. What you're selling may be superior for any of a variety of reasons: quality, capabilities, convenience, value, ease of availability. All you need to do is emphasize what's superior about your offer and make it clear that someone who takes advantage of what you're selling will be perceived as a superior person by those who weren't so smart. For example, Widget Roofing will treat you like royalty with superior installation and maintenance services for your home or castle at prices other owners will envy. Forbidden psychological tactic number 4, storytelling and truth-telling. In the age of reality TV, reality marketing is a must too. The 21st century consumers is savvy about the tactics of marketers and skeptical of online advertising and off. If your claims obviously exaggerated, consumers will be turned off instantly and will instantly click away to another site. And once you've lost them, you're not going to get them back. No sales technique works better than the truth. And a life experience sounds like the truth because it is the truth. There's no need to resort to a screaming hot sell with storytelling. With a real life story, the key element of your sales message, this product or service works, is presented effectively, but also subtly. If your sales copy has human interest, where real people are involved in real events that really matter to your prospects, they'll be hooked onto the story and hooked onto doing business with you. General Motors has created and maintained a buzz, and since its launch, its OnStar marketing push in November 2002. The advertising campaign uses live recordings of people who were helped by OnStar's in-vehicle safety, security, and information services. It's clear that these real-life stories are striking a chord with our subscribers and have helped dramatically improve consumer comprehension of the benefits of OnStar. Vice President for OnStar Sales, Service, and Marketing said, "Sincerity is the name of the game. Do you have a compelling customer success story you can build up to demonstrate your company's superiority and impart an air of truth, honesty, and integrity to your site visitors? Has one of your employees performed a heroic act in the name of his or her service? Write a story about it, using real life to illustrate how your program, your product, your business, your service changed someone's life, maybe even your life for the better." Lock and loaded insight. Truth is stranger and sells better than fiction. These stories, sometimes called case studies or case histories, are usually a few hundred words in length. Less than that, and you won't be able to get your marketing message across or your story across any longer, and the reader may bail out before finishing the story. Forbidden psychological tactic number 5, frequency. Too much is never enough. Early MTV slogan. If a visitor doesn't respond to your offer, it's easy to say, what's the point of following up? If they didn't buy immediately, they're obviously not interested or they're not that serious. I'm not going to waste any more time or effort on them. What are you thinking? There are a number of reasons why prospects don't buy from you initially, and only one may be that they're not interested in what you have to offer. Another reason is that they're just overloaded with options. The average consumer sees 3,000 marketing messages every day. Thanks to the companies that developed captive audience advertising, you see sales messages on gas pumps, at the airport, online, at the supermarket, and even in public washrooms. There's almost no time during the day when a consumer isn't being pitched. As a result, most of what's being pitched isn't being caught. Here's what I mean. Consumers tune out more messages than they focus on. They have to, otherwise their heads would explode. And things are even worse on the web that is filled with advertising and marketing noise, pop-ups, banners, spams, secret windows, and a variety of other attention-getting devices are so overly used that web servers are numb to them. So what can you do? Try and try and try again. The best way to get a consumer to tune out the competition is to turn up the volume of your offer. And the way to do that is with frequency. Lock and loaded insight. On average, you need to follow up with prospects 9 times before they'll buy from you. You can't be sure why a prospect may not have initially been sold on your offer. It may be lack of interest, but it may also be they aren't ready yet. They need more information. They're still doing research. They aren't convinced about your quality or reliability. They have to save the money to make the purchase. Their problems may not be serious enough to take action yet. A consumer may not be ready to buy the first time they go to your website, but if you stay in touch with them regularly, you'll literally be ready to strike when the iron is hot. The lines of communication will be opened, and the now ready-to-buy consumer will know exactly what to do and who to contact. There's a fine line that keeps frequent contact from turning into annoying overkill. Make sure that you vary your communications and your message so that you come down on the right side of the line. Sometimes on late-night television, the same 15-second spot for a product will appear at every commercial break during the program. By the fourth time you've heard the pitchman say, "Do you want to make cleaning easier?" You're screaming, "No!" This is not the response you want from your prospect. You want to give them something to look forward to. Electronic newsletters and autoresponders are a friendly way to stay in touch and call your consumers' attention to new items for sale, seasonal specials. This technique works for all kinds of products and services. Example, Get the Dirt newsletter, seasonal cleaning tips from widgetvacuum.com. This week in wines, autoresponders, weekly specials at widgetwines.com. Daily health tip, health and wellness tips from your friends at Widget Pharmacy. You see how that works? Electronic communications also make it easy to invite consumers to click here and invite them or to revisit your website for more information or to go ahead and place their order now. Because you've been communicating frequently, you've had a chance to establish the level of trust needed to close the sale. At this point, your prospect doesn't have to be sold anymore. They just need to be helped to buy. And there's a difference. And one more thing that you can do to encourage that sale is to create subject lines for your messages that makes consumers want to do the electronic equivalent of rip open the envelopes to open your email message. Lock and load an insight. It is 100% easier to market and ultimately close the deal with someone who has visited your site but who hasn't bought from you yet than it is to start from scratch with a cold prospect. Forbidden psychological tactic number 6, the age of reasons. Appealing to a prospect's "what's in it for me" self-interest is what will turn your online sales message into a sales monster. When you list benefits, offer a no-risk guarantee, throw in bonuses, etc., you're speaking directly to a consumer's basic instinct, greed. At the centerpiece of any successful online marketing message is your ability to tell customers you can give them exactly what they want. But to a real powerhouse with the ability to convert even the most hesitant visitor into an enthusiastic, ready-to-buy-now customer, you need to tell them what they already know and then tell them more. You see, people visit your website for a reason, but it's for their own reasons, not yours. So you want to make sure that when they arrive, they are immediately reminded in a clear and compelling way why they came, and be reminded of all the other reasons why they should buy from you. Let's use widgetsupplements.com as an example. Mr. Noah is a potential customer who heard about this online supplement store from his friend. His friend told Noah that Widget offers free delivery on all vitamin orders over $30. Free delivery is what has brought Mr. Noah to your site to considering becoming your customer. But you don't want Mr. Noah to simply consider buying from you. You want him to buy now, to order right now and order big, and come back for more. And the best way to do that is to give the customer a reason to buy now. Imagine how quickly Mr. Noah would say yes if he finds out that you give 10% off on all new orders, that the products you offer are guaranteed fresh, that he'll get automatic reminders when it's time to reorder, that he'll receive a free report on supplements with his order. By loading up your online sales message with reasons why a prospect should do business with you, you are literally sweetening the pot. The more reasons you give a prospect to say yes, the more likely he is to do so. Lock and loaded insight. The best way to compile a killer list of reasons why someone should buy from you is to ask your customers. You can also check out their competition and make sure that you are highlighting all the same benefits plus a few more that the other guy forgot. Forbidden psychological tactic number 7. Be a surveyor. I've said it before, but it bears repeating. For your website to succeed, you need to give the people what they want, not what you think they want. And there's a world difference between hoping you're hitting your prospects' hot buttons with your sales message and knowing that you are. You may know your product and service inside out, and you might think that you are aware of everything about it that will appeal to your potential clients. But you don't know jack unless you ask consumers what they know. You're building the success of your entire online business on guesswork. And there's a better way: surveys. Online surveys replace guesswork with certainty. They're a rich source of marketing research and your opportunity to have prospects tell you what they're willing to buy right now. Different kinds of surveys include the customer survey. Ask current customers what made them buy in the past and what they plan to buy in the future. The opt-in list survey. Ask people on your subscriber list what they're interested in and what they've bought in the past and what they plan to buy in the future. The exit survey. Ask people their opinions as they leave your site, what they like, what they didn't like, what they plan to buy in the future, and where, and why they didn't buy in the first place, why they're leaving. The unsubscribe survey. Now, this kind of surveys is important because, think about it, the information provided by people who are opting out to your list is golden. It can be used to change the negatives into positives and increase your retention rate. The server survey. Turn site visitors into a test audience. Are you thinking about launching a new line of products? Maybe writing a sequel to your ebook? Before you invest time and money, invest in a website survey. As people surf your site, get their opinion on whether they would buy what you're thinking of creating or selling. The beauty of online surveys is that they allow you to collect the information that you need with virtually no cost whatsoever, and you can continue to get up-to-the-minute information from people who are already interested in what you have to offer. Compare that to spending thousands of dollars on hiring a marketing firm to do quote-unquote consumer research that may be out of date by the time it's compiled. It shouldn't be a surprise that everyone uses surveys today, from the biggest corporations in the world to the smallest mom-and-pop shops on Main Street. And pretty much all surveys are trying to capture the same pieces of information that you need. What they would buy, when they would buy it, how much they would pay, why they would buy. Once you know that, the battle for their hearts and minds, and consumers' dollars, of course, is more than half won. Locked and loaded insight. Customer satisfaction surveys are also an important source of powerful testimonials. Always include a section for comments in any survey you send out, and be sure to obtain permission to quote those comments in your marketing materials. You may be able to turn them into testimonials. Forbidden psychological tactic number 8. Let's get down to specifics. Specific is the difference between the vague mental image painted by this phrase. The widget Rhodo garden is generously sized and preceded with almost 36 types of beautiful flowers. And the vivid, you're right in the middle of the feelings picture created by, listen to this, with widget Rhodo garden, you enjoy seeing more than 34 different varieties of carnations, zinnias, and snapdragons exploding in 2.3 yards of red, yellow, and orange bloom for month after month of fragrant pleasure right outside of your own front door. I've emphasized the words that make this statement specific. Color, type of flower, and appealing to the senses. Now, in this case, the eyes and the nose. And I've emphasized one of the most meaningful specifics of all, non-round numbers. You know what it means to round up and round down, right? Well, that's where a round number comes from. 17 rounds up to 20 and 42 rounds up to 40, etc., etc. Rounding up and down may be okay for tax returns, but round numbers can doom your online marketing efforts. Studies have shown that people rated sales copy as more believable when the numbers used were non-round. Here are 2 examples for headlines from online sales letters. Which one has more consumer appeal? Number 1, you can make more money every week. Or, earn an extra $500 each week working only 3 hours a day. In the first example, there's an undefined promise of additional income. Is it $5 more per week, or is it $10 more per week, or is it $1 million more per week? Who knows? The second example is a lot more specific and answers the consumer's favorite question, what's in it for me? It clearly states a dollar amount and a definite time frame that the goal can be achieved. Lock and loaded insight. In a study done by the Wall Street Journal, the number 7 has been found to be the number that most people respond to. So try and test it out. Try to end your prices with 7, $27, $47, $97, $497, $997. Test it out. During a study for a hypothetical new brand of imported beer, it was noted that benefit statements such as these were completely useless on consumers. A popular Bavarian beer, great taste, affordable, those don't work. Here are the winners that turned on the consumers who expressed immediate interest in the beer. Bavaria's #1 selling beer since 1995. Consumers prefer this beer 5-1 over American beers and leading imports. Widget beer is affordably priced at $1.79 per 6-pack of 12-ounce bottles. So who is your target audience and your niche market? When you craft your message, use words that speak directly to that demographic. Hey, bowlers, rather than just hey. A gardener's delight, rather than attention homeowners. New cure for cancer patients, rather than just a new medical cure. Can you use an extra $1,501 a month without having to work for it, instead of just say $1,000? Don't say ending soon, say ending on February 2nd, 2016. When you have a sale or special offer, see, the key to an expiration date is that it can and should continue to be changed as long as your marketing outreach is working. If you decide that your campaign offering 3 months service free when you purchase a widget lawnmower by May 1st was a winner, then just launch a new campaign for June and July and August, or any month when the grass is green. Does that make sense? Forbidden psychological tactic number 9. Give them a pat on the back. Flattery will get you anywhere, including in your prospect's wallet. The need to be recognized and have our achievements applauded is universal. It's a basic human need and an integral part of human nature. As a matter of fact, millions of people around the world spend millions of hours and billions of dollars on the couch seeking acknowledgement and validation. You may not be offering online psychotherapy, but if you make your consumers feel good about themselves, as well as their purchase, they want to continue to do business with you. One of the best ways to win over a potential customer is to flatter them for their smarts. When it comes to buying, consumers want to think that they're intelligent and savvy, that buying from you is an excellent decision. Congratulate them on not waiting until it's too late. Compliment them for being ahead of the crowd. Acknowledge their superior intelligence and shopping savvy, and you have prospects eating out of your hand and buying from your site. Making your consumers feel singled out for better treatment with a just-for-you deal or discount is another way to acknowledge them. A prime example of this is the online customers only offer that can be positioned as the very complimentary preferred customer only offer. So who are your preferred customers? Anyone you want them to be. A preferred customer can be a first-time visitor, a first-time buyer, a returning customer, or any audience you're especially interested in targeting. What makes them feel preferred, aka special, is the special offer that you make. Here's some examples. Reward for returning customers. Shirts half price at Widget Dry Cleaning. New members who join the Widget Sewing Circle receive a free pair of scissors. We love mothers. Get a free Mom's Rule kitchen magnet when you place your order today. Lock and Load an insight. Sims, an off-price clothing store in New York City, uses the slogan, "An educated consumer is our best customer." The translation in the consumer's mind is this: I'm educated, I'm smart, and to show everyone how smart I am, I'll buy more at Sims. You see how that works? Forbidden psychological tactic number 10. Teach a man to fish. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll come back to your website to buy hooks, bait, rods, and reels for a lifetime. Marketing proverb. If you think of your website as nothing more than a sales central for your product or service, you're missing an important element of its value to your customers and prospects. When a consumer visits a website and looking for information to help them make a purchase, all sites provide basic information, what the product or service is, what it costs, how to order, etc., etc. But sites that are active money makers that generate lots of traffic and lots of sales are sites that teach as well as sell. For example, widgetlinens.com might devote site pages to a variety of educational topics. In addition to information on how to launder sheets and pillowcases, the proper storage of table linens, for example, there may also be an article on the history of napkins or an FAQ on identifying top quality linens. The goal of all the articles and features and forums and message boards and free downloads is to help a consumer use and enjoy the products that the site offers for sale, and to convert that consumer into a customer for life. My own websites rely heavily on this appealing concept. In addition to offering my products, some of my sites offer visitors free access to valuable information as well as the chance to opt into my subscriber list and receive ongoing communications and priceless lessons based on my real-world experience. I'm a generous guy, but I'm also a savvy businessman. I know that by providing valuable information on my site, that would make visitors into better marketers, better business people. That's good for them, but it's also very good for me. The newly educated entrepreneurs who have learned from me and profit from my free advice are more likely to buy what I have to sell. And as I continue to teach them how to use my materials to make their business more successful, they continue to buy from me. Providing useful information on your website also brands you as the good guy in business. You're giving away something for nothing, and people will appreciate that. One of the qualities that consumers appreciate in a website is a setting that doesn't feel like a high-pressure sales pitch. When you turn your website into a classroom, a resource center, a cool place to go for free information, guidance, and support, you turn your visitors into your most enthusiastic students, and they turn your website into their favorite place to go. Lock and loaded insight. Bulking up your website with informative articles provides an after-marketing opportunity. It is a great way to keep old customers flowing into your website and also new money flowing into your pocket. Forbidden psychological tactic number 11, honesty. The secret of life is honesty and fair dealing. If you can fake that, you've got it made. Groucho Marx. A little kid I know recently ordered a nifty-looking toy airplane through the mail. He was so excited when he showed me the ad that showed the plane flying through the air and providing hours and hours of soaring fun for just $5. $5? Uh-oh, I know where this was going, and isn't going anywhere good. As I'm sure you guessed, the plane in the ad looked great, but when the real thing arrived, it was smaller, cheaper, and less fun than he expected. It was his first taste of truth in advertising, and I can tell you he was scarred for life by the experience. Kids like my little friend grow into adults who know that marketing is full of, you know what, shit. Now, as a result, consumers think that marketing messages are exaggerated even if they are not. In order for your sales message to be heard, you need to disarm a consumer's built-in disbelief. It's reducing the impact of your message. And once you've established that you are speaking honestly with them, site visitors are more likely to give the rest of your message more attention and a little less skepticism than usual. That's the challenge with doing business online, all technology and not enough human interaction. But when you soft pedal exaggeration, your message will sound less like a pre-programmed and high-pressure sales robot and more like a real person. And as you probably know, people like to do business with people, not machines. Honesty is a way to make a sale and an important way to build your reputation. And you reap what you sow if you try to cheat people. If you pull the wool over a consumer's eyes, don't think for a minute that he or she won't spread the word, the negative word about you and your business. Being honest doesn't mean elaborating on your product's flaws or the shortcomings in your service. It does mean turning down hyperbole and expressing in a more believable terms the benefits that you have to offer. Lock and loaded insight. This may sound counterintuitive, but it works. By admitting your product is not the perfect solution for everyone, you increase the chances that the prospect will listen to why your product is perfect for them. Forbidden psychological tactic number 12. Show and tell. Seeing is believing, and believers are buyers. I was recently shopping for a book light, and as I was browsing the merchandise, the salesman came over with batteries in his hand. He asked me which model I was considering, and when I pointed it out, he powered up the light and showed me all the settings and positions and bells and whistles that he had to offer. I was awed, not by the book light, it was pretty standard, but by the effectiveness of the sales technique. By demonstrating his product to me, the salesman made the idea of its benefits completely tangible. Product demonstrations are everywhere, at your local mall, at traveling street fairs, even on TV, at your local home supply store or favorite department store makeup counter. They should be on your website too. According to traditional marketing research, demonstrations should be conducted at the point of purchase to maximize the opportunity for the consumer to act immediately on the buying impulse a good demonstration will create. Now, this makes demonstrations perfect for the internet, where click now can be used to provide instant gratification. Billion-dollar companies spend millions of dollars creating online demonstrations. In fact, today there are some manufacturers whose TV ads don't promote the actual product. They just directed viewers to their online demonstrations. Now, fortunately, you don't have to break the bank to showcase your product or service online. In fact, an expensive video presentation may work against you. Remember, consumers are fickle and impatient. If site visitors have to download software to view your demonstration, or it takes too long for the demonstration to load and play, you'll lose interest and you'll lose sales. The first thing you need to decide is how to visually demonstrate the benefits and features effectively, and what you need to show to convey the feelings of satisfaction, including relief, confidence, pride, happiness, security, superiority, etc., that your product or service is guaranteed to deliver. The cost of creating your demonstration needs to be weighed against the price of your product or service, so use only what you need. For example, WidgetSeniorSmiles.com doesn't need a costly mini movie to demonstrate the benefits of its teeth whitening system for older adults. All that's required is a series of still photographs that show patients putting the strips on their teeth, accompanied by before and after pictures of happy, healthy smiles. Pricey flash animation isn't necessary at WeWidget Castles. The site can be just as effective with cartoon drawings that show how even a small child can use a bicycle pump to quickly blow up a plastic inflatable playhouse. At widgetblades.com, however, showing a video of happy customers slipping on their rollerblades and then skating at the beach and in the park and in competitions is a great idea. It gives your active-minded visitors a chance to put themselves in the picture and experience an emotional connection with the need for speed that Widget Blades satisfies. The Widget Blades demonstration also works for upselling without distracting from your main sales message. Now, upselling is when you sell additional products or accessories at the time of purchase. The narration of the video may focus on rollerblades themselves, but the site visitor is getting a visual pitch for knee pads and other blade gear. Lock and loaded insight. Many people are turned off by technology, especially old internet users. If your target demographic is likely to find downloading a challenge, don't challenge them. Present your information in a way that suits their needs. Buyers often purchase items on impulse simply because of a compelling product or service demonstration, in addition to showing off the features and benefits of your primary product. If your presentation demonstrates how complementary products can be used, you're likely to beef up the bottom line of the sale. Forbidden psychological tactic number 13. Let's get visual. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Many people think that the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words, is a piece of ancient Chinese wisdom. Well, they're wrong. Advertising itself is the person of marketing wizard. Fred Bernard is the source. In his trade journal, Printers Inc., Bernard coined the phrase, one look is worth 1,000 words, when referring to the benefits of advertising with pictures on streetcars. Yet although the words were Bernard's own, he wanted the phrase to have more weight, so he told people it was an ancient Chinese proverb. In spite of the fact that pictures can be doctored, consumers trust what they see and they believe that most pictures are honest and accurate representations of what's real. Plus, pictures bring your message to life much more vividly than words ever could. People tend to be visually motivated. I see it, I want it. Simply giving the visitors the opportunity to see your product may resolve many questions they may have otherwise kept them from buying. If pictures are all that, you may be wondering if you should even bother with sales copy. The answer is definitely yes. The internet is a graphically driven advertising media, but words are essential to give substance to the visuals. No matter how great the pictures might be, without sales copy, you won't be able to communicate the 3 points that all commercial websites must get across. What your company does, what the benefits are of using your product or service, and why prospects should buy from you. A picture can hint at what you have to offer, but you need to spell it out with words. What are the main attributes that set you apart from your competition? A visually compelling website presents your best attributes, answers questions, overcomes objections, wraps you in an aura of truth. Imagine offering a photo gallery of those key features and benefits on your website, where potential customers can actually see. The results will be fantastic. If your pictures are effective, they will make consumers want to experience for themselves what your product or service has to offer. And that makes pictures the ultimate closers. Lock and loaded insight. Your business may not be able to show irresistible pictures that are as immediately heartwarming as babies and puppies, but you can show pictures of your satisfied customers to help instill confidence in your prospective clients. Forbidden psychological tactic number 14. With a fun place to shop. Girls just want to have fun. Cindy Lauper. I've got a news flash for Cindy. Boys want to have fun too. Also men, women, and children of all ages. That's why the fun place to shop is a search term that will return more than 10 million hits on Google. The mother of all fun sites would have to be fun.com. And fun is part of the URL at northwoodsfun.com, lopbackfunclub.com, howthewestwasfun.com. A fun place to shop is used to lure customers to businesses that are as different as night and day. It's the slogan everywhere from lapregnancy.com and 2x2multiples.com to pteducation.com and aclassyfleet.com. Everyone likes a good time. So make your website the fun place to shop. And don't forget that fun means different things to different people. A good time can be had at any website regardless of the product or service he has to sell. Skeptical? I know it's hard to imagine that fun would be an element to selling something as unfun as, let's say, funeral supplies. Let me illustrate with a story. At widgetheadstones.com, visitors can digitally create samples of grave markers. They can choose from a variety of headstones and play with the design of the inscriptions. They can mix and match different typefaces, artistic ornamentation, headstone sizes, and shapes, etc., etc. In the blink of an eye, the on-site software allows them to create pictures of the finished product to admire and consider. They have a chance to imagine and dream of what if, and then turns their dreams into reality with a simple click here to order now. This makes dreams come true for widgetheadstones.com too, by providing the right experience. Creating online prototypes, the company gives its target audience a reason to visit and have quote-unquote fun, albeit professional fun. The fun really begins, however, when Widget Headstones transforms every visit from a funeral director as an opportunity to advertise a special, reiterate key benefits and services, and move heaven and earth to make a sale. Lock and loaded insight. Figure out what your target audience would consider an online good time, and then deliver it. They'll come back for more, including more closing opportunities. Forbidden psychological tactic number 15. Every prospect is from Missouri. Fancy language neither convinces nor satisfies me. I'm from Missouri. You've got to show me. Congressman Willard Duncan Vandiver, 1899. Thanks to decades of shady claims, over-the-top promises, and out-and-out lies, marketers are selling products in the age of skepticism. Mr. and Mrs. John Q. Public, not to mention their kids, and their single friends too, want to know the truth behind ad claims, warranties, brochures, and guarantees. There are three walls that prospects hide behind with their fears and objections. Your mission is to go over, under, through, and around those walls. It doesn't matter whether they're using a tube of toothpaste or a Piper jet. Your website needs to show them that you can be trusted. Now, to do that, you've got to have to tear down walls of fear and skepticism before you can build up a relationship with the consumer. Wall number one, how can I be sure I'm doing the right thing? Your strategy, provide helpful educational information. Wall number two, are you a good person to do business with? Your strategy, provide social proof using testimonials. Wall number three, what if I'm not happy? Your strategy, provide a rock-solid guarantee. One strategy is to provide factual information in an unbiased way that will allow a consumer to make his or her informed decision. Deep six the traditional hard sales pitch and just present the cold, hard facts. A great way to do this is with free information products, white papers, or a report that can be downloaded instantly, or through an email. Sending your goodie through email will enable you to build the all-important opt-in subscriber list, a group of prime prospects who have already expressed their interest in what you have to offer. Sharing knowledge is a powerful way to break down walls of resistance in online shoppers. When consumers think you are informing them, they will respect you and thank you for your openness and honesty. Once you've got them in your corner and gained their trust, it's easy for you to move on to the next step, selling. Another way to gain credibility for the offer on your site is to include real testimonials from your customers. The "no one was paid for their comments" testimonials for people just like you are highly effective in convincing skeptical prospects that your offer is for real. Locked and loaded insight. Testimonials build credibility more than any other strategy. Collect them at every opportunity. PLY, people like you testimonials, may be golden, but third-party facts and figures and quotes from experts are platinum, the Fort Knox of persuasion. When a well-known authority or institution is willing to endorse your claims, your website benefits from a phenomenon known as reflected integrity. With reflected or mirrored integrity, the consumer transfers the attributes of the authority to your offer. Who's an expert? Now that depends on what you're selling and to whom, especially when it comes to celebrities. To baseball fans, Alex Rodriguez may be an expert on psychotherapy, but what would the folks at the Freud Institute think? Your panel of experts may include noted industry leaders, editors of trade magazines, research groups, government offices and departments, celebrities. The guarantee yanks the teeth out of the fears that are eating away at consumers. Fear of making the wrong choice, fear of overpaying, fear of getting less than they bargained for, fear of being dissatisfied with nowhere to turn. A guarantee says to the consumer, we believe in our product service and you can too. It promises we're no fly-by-night operation, we're here to serve you. Lock and loaded insight. No one buys when they're afraid, but perhaps you are afraid and you are hesitant because you think if you make a strong guarantee that too many customers will take you up on it. Wrong. The truth of the matter is this: only 1 or 2% of your customers will ever take you up on your guarantee if your products and services are good. Forbidden psychological tactic number 16. FAQ frequently alleviates qualms. Questions are just objections in disguise. An excellent way to keep objections at bay and keep fear out of the buying equation is with a preemptive attack on questions. An FAQ is an excellent double agent in this endeavor. Disguised as a what you want consumer aid, your FAQ is really a powerful marketing device. With it, you'll provide reasons why consumers should buy from you. An FAQ is just one more opportunity to get the word out about all of the benefits and features and guarantees, etc., you have to offer. The bigger the list of reasons, the easier it will be to overcome these basic consumer nail biters. Did I buy the best? Did I buy a lemon? Did I overpay? Did I buy something I really don't need? Will I get what was promised? Will I be able to get a refund if I made a mistake? Did I get talked into something I don't need? For many people, their fears are what keep them from making the purchase. No one likes to admit they're afraid. So many consumers turn their fears into questions. In the online marketing world, questions are just objections waiting to happen. If you don't answer a question, it will turn into an objection. The objection is really just an expression of a consumer's worst fears. Your job is to pinpoint the subtext of what your visitor is saying. You should always remember that "I can't afford it" is a self-protective, I don't want to sound poor or cheap way of saying, can you lower the price? "I can't wait" may be a buyer's way of asking, can you deliver it fast? And "where are your offices located?" is probably consumer speak for, can I track you down if I'm not satisfied? Once you figure out what your prospect is saying, you can figure out how to answer the budding objection. In crafting an answer for your prospect, your core question should be, how can I satisfy him on this point so that he won't have any objection to clicking here to buy now? When I launched my mentoring program, I knew that lots of questions, aka objections, would arise. I decided that the best way to address those questions would be with an FAQ. It worked like magic. People felt empowered by the knowledge the FAQ provided. My answers were designed to give them confidence about who I am and where I come from and what I have to offer and how I will take care of them if they have problems. That confidence translated into a flurry, then a snowstorm of responses. Lock and loaded insight. Questions are your friends. If a potential customer is asking questions, it means that he is interested. Objections are your friends too. Even an objection that sounds like a loud, resounding no isn't really a no at all. It's just a request for a solution to a problem. Forbidden psychological tactic number 17. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Everyone is doing it now. Irvin Berlin or Commander Cody or DC Talk. Now, depending on your age and taste in music, Everyone is Doing It Now is a sweet old Irvin Berlin tune, a Christian-friendly DC Talk ditty, or a hip Commander Cody tune. Whom do you identify with? Did seeing that person's name at the top of this page make you more interested in listening to this tactic? If it did, you've just experienced mirroring firsthand. In psychology, mirroring refers to a person's tendency to remain in harmony with another person by copying movements or body language of the other and consciously or subconsciously mimicking them. In online marketing psychology, mirroring refers to a powerful tactic that changes prospects into buyers by making them one of the crowd. Locked and loaded insight. Testimonials are a great way to provide your potential customers with an opportunity for mirroring. Like social proof, mirroring can be a powerful buying stimulant. It's used to show a prospect that people just like you, and sometimes people better than you, are enjoying this product or service. It's especially effective when consumers are presented with images or statements from people they identify with or want to emulate. Even more magnetic than simply someone doing it is seeing someone like me doing it. People like to hear about that and do what other people just like them are doing for business and for pleasure. There's only one thing more persuasive than sending a letter to Dr. Kreckenstich, a heart surgeon, with comments other doctors attesting to the benefits of a product and service. That's including a quote from another professional just like you, in this case another heart surgeon, like the good doctor. To really turn this into a killer, get a quote from a widely respected scalpel man. Let's say the world-famous heart surgeon to the stars, Dr. Mike Widget. With the addition of Dr. Widget's fame and integrity to satisfy the desire for social proof, not to mention his Hollywood lifestyle, to satisfy pure, unadulterated greed, Dr. Kreckenstich's desire to be like Mike becomes overwhelming. That means if Dr. Kreckenstich reads that Dr. Mike purchased a hot tub and found it beneficial in relieving the stress and tightness that comes with being a world-famous neurosurgeon, it's a natural human instinct for Dr. Dolittle to say, if it worked for him, it'll work for me. Forbidden psychological tactic number 18. Curious George and Georgina. The cure for boredom is curiosity. There's no cure for curiosity. Dorothy Parker. Legend has it that curiosity killed the cat, but it has a very different effect on consumers. More like a catnip. Create an attention-getting headline that makes your visitor say, "I'll just die if I don't find out more." And you've done more than just arouse curiosity. You have unleashed the marketing warrior strength of killer curiosity, so strong and irresistible that it's a murder on lack of enthusiasm, disinterest, apathy, and anything else that would keep your visitors from wanting to know more, much more. All creatures are curious, especially humans. We explore our world rather than just respond to it, looking under rocks, pulling back curtains, and poking sticks into things. Our curiosity is based on our biology, the immensely powerful basic instincts for self-preservation, reproduction, and greed propel us to explore the unknown. The desire to know is a compelling force in marketing. When a consumer is curious, they don't just want to know, they need to satisfy their curiosity. That's why the net is filled with information products with curious titles and sales letters with curious headlines, like these. Secrets of the diet industry uncovered. What timeshare companies don't want you to know. Mysterious of a youthful appearance revealed. The hidden keys of car buying. Curiosity gains and holds the consumer's attention long enough for the rest of the sales message to be delivered. Let's face it, every marketing tactic, psychological or otherwise, has its downside. That means the challenge is to meet the obstacles head on, and then figure out a way to go around them. Lock and loaded insight. Curiosity is a difficult appeal to use because of the two basic problems. Arousing curiosity in the first place, and not having the consumer come up with their own answer in the second. The following words can help you turn apathy into interest. Discovered. Someone spilled the beans. The answer you've been looking for. Sneak peek. For your eyes only. After you create the itch that needs to be scratched, make it abundantly and immediately clear that you can provide calamine lotion, aka the solution to the itch. Like this. There's a trick to taking it off and keeping it off, and we've got it on the next page. You won't believe what Lewis in the mailroom did, and now you can take advantage of her mistake. You've been fooled. It doesn't take a lifetime to achieve happiness. Our road to enlightenment is much shorter. Forbidden psychological tactic number 19. The cult of celebrity. When you get a celebrity to endorse your company or sign a licensing agreement, you benefit from customers' awareness of the spokesperson, which could include the perception of quality, educational value, or a certain image. Patrick Bishop, co-author of Money Tree Marketing. We've already established that online consumers look at advertising messages with doubt. This can make marketing especially difficult if you have a startup product or service that has not yet built its reputation for quality and service. But even skeptical types can be persuaded to come into the light when the advertising message is delivered by a celebrity, a well-known authority, or person of power and influence. People will be more inclined to buy from you when you borrow credibility from trusted authorities or beloved celebrities. They may not know or trust you, but consumers do trust celebrities. And here's the part that may surprise you. Celebrity endorsements are huge conversion magnets, even when the celebrity isn't an expert on the product or an authority in the field. Needless to say, this is why a celebrity expert is the ultimate in endorsements. Professional athletes pitch sneakers. Actresses pitch skincare products, etc., etc. The combination of fame and knowledge are unbeatable when it comes to convincing prospects that your website or product or service are on the level. When celebrities talk, we listen, and here's where things get really interesting. We are more willing to do so without carefully considering all the facts. Does Miss USA really know about the spark plugs she's plugging for widgetmotors.com? Does Paris Hilton eat the burgers at Carl's Jr.? Who knows? And to some degree, who cares? As long as consumers recognize a celebrity as someone they like, they're more than happy to abdicate the tedious process of informed decision-making and simply follow the suggestions of their idol. Locked and loaded insight. Research shows that the three characteristics most associated with persuasiveness are perceived authority, honesty, and likability. And it's these three characteristics that we are likely to attribute to beloved celebrities. Forbidden psychological tactic number 20. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Fear is very apparent in all the deodorant ads. Fear of body odor and all that. But in a more subtle way, the general fear of not being loved, and not then be able to buy some product to be loved. There's a subtle fear pervading most people, and the ads speculate on that and show, in more or less drastic ways, here are the things which will make you loved. Dr. Eric Fromm, You and the Commercial. Fear is a fundamental human instinct, and manipulating it is a fundamental online marketing tactic. Fear is one of the easiest emotional hot buttons to press, as well as one of the most painful for consumers. And while the pursuit of pleasure appears to drive most buying decisions, it's actually the avoidance of pain that seals the deal. Fear is a negative emotion that a prospect wants to alleviate as quickly as possible. This makes fear a valuable part of your online marketing campaign. Make a prospect afraid, and then show them how you can take away the fear, and you generate an immediate response and a windfall of sales. Consumer fear can be subdivided into 3 scary subcategories: fear of loss, fear of making a mistake, fear of things getting worse, fear of paying too much for too little. People are much more likely to buy if they think they'll lose out on an opportunity if they don't. If your product is perceived as scarce, a limited supply, that perception will generate a powerful fear of loss. This fear is what generates advertising language like limited time offer, only 500 available, will not be repeated, first 100 customers, today and tomorrow only, offer good until they are gone. The fear that can really paralyze consumers is fear of making a mistake in choosing a solution to the problem. Your job is to overcome that fear by offering reassurance to the customer that your company will deliver. And the best way to make those reassurance resonate, use testimonials or headlines like these. 3 million soccer moms say widget SUVs rock. Widget motor oil, the #1 choice of Widgetville's 200 Lexus owners. 43,000 units sold and no returns or refunds ever. Fear that the status quo will go from good to bad and then from bad to worse without your products and services. If I don't get those gutters cleaned, I'm going to have to replace the roof. It's the fear that you maximize. Another example of this kind of fear-based marketing was used by firearms industry at the turn of the 21st century. Fear of social disruption that could be caused by the Y2K computer bug was used to drive gun sales up, way up. Web hosting is a highly competitive industry. Web hosts routinely use fear of getting less and paying more to make the sale. They tell prospective clients that if you use a cheap web host, you might get lousy customer service, and then there are virtually no guarantees of your website being up and running. They'll let you in on a story about an online business that lost millions of dollars just because their website was down. To ink the deal, they'll reassure the potential customer that Widget Web Hosting provides a reliable service with customer service available 24/7. A good process to go through to make fear work for your site is to create a list of reasons why it could be dangerous, unhealthy, unwise, and risky to buy from one of your cheaper competitors. Tell your prospect that if they shop at brandx.com, they risk getting a product of inferior quality or being treated poorly by a poor customer service department. Here's the secret. Risky doesn't have to mean life or death. The risk simply has to be great enough to evoke fear of loss, mistake, paying too much, etc., etc. Locked and loaded insight. In a niche where many websites are selling a product or service that is virtually identical, using fear and risk is an unsurpassed way to distinguish yourself from the competition. It's also a great way to justify higher prices. Forbidden psychological tactic number 21. Throw down the glove. I thoroughly disapprove of duels. If a man should challenge me, I would take him kindly and forgivingly by the hand and lead him to a quiet place and kill him. Mark Twain. Do you watch a fear factor competitor slog through a task in 10 minutes and you say to yourself, I could do it in 5? When you became a Girl Scout and learned that each girl in your troop traditionally sold 10 boxes of thin mints and tag-alongs, did you make a mental commitment to up your personal sales projections to 20 of each? When you hear the words, "you can't," do you immediately think, "Oh yes, I can"? If so, then you understand the attraction of a competitive sales lured and online headlines like, "If a flat broke C student with no background in advertising can write copy that generated $47,857 in 48 hours, what can you do?" I'm flat-chested and big-boned, but I found a man online. I won't want to work with you unless you are serious. For many people, a challenge is the ultimate call to action. A challenge to bust a move on the dance floor, or a challenge to prove to people who doubt you that they are wrong in an online sales pitch have the same effect. Every challenge and dare a potential consumer is faced with delivers a strong 1-2 punch to the ego button. Lock and loaded insight. Challenges stimulate the desire to prove that I'm just as good as no, I'm better than everybody else. Once the ego button has been engaged, the next step is to offer an opportunity for your prospect to prove themselves and their worthiness. Your challenge sets the bar so that you can in turn invite potential customers to hurdle it and hurdle it with ease. I use this technique on my own websites. I frequently point out to visitors that if they don't have what I'm looking for, ambition, energy, and dedication, they should look elsewhere. This, of course, makes them doubly determined to show me and themselves that they are worthy. I leverage their determination to my advantage with an urgent call to action. Well, if you're serious about this, you click here now and let me hear from you today. Forbidden psychological tactic number 22. Round up a herd mentality. Monkey see, monkey do. And it's the same for humans too. People are deeply affected by what others think. If we see someone else do it, whatever it might happen to be, we have an immediate internal response that says, "Me too." This explains why television producers use a laugh track when a punchline, or should we say alleged punchline, is delivered during a sitcom. The audience at home knows that the laugh track is just a recording, but that doesn't stop them from chuckling along even louder when the recorded laughter is turned up. People will visit websites that are on most visited list, buy cell phones on the most useful list, and spend their movie dollars on the #1 film in the country. It's because of their desire to be in agreement with everyone else and to avoid the pain of having a mistaken belief about what is true and what is not. Locked and loaded insight. Forget about marching a different drummer. For most of us, getting in step with what others are doing feels safer and more comfortable than going our own way. Humans are pack animals and tend to exhibit a herd mentality. We have a strong urge towards self-preservation and an innate resistance to venturing out on our own and being a guinea pig. That's the job of the alpha dog. This tendency is the reason that a piano player in a bar puts a few $5 bills in his tip jars at the beginning of the night, is to stimulate tips. Of course, not 50-cent tips or a $1 tip, is to make it clear that the $5 tips is what everyone else is giving. And why do you think some evangelical preachers have been known to seed their audience with ringers who come forward at a specific time to give witness and donations? It's not an accident, it's psychology at work. If you can pepper your site with words like bestseller or our most popular item, you don't have to convince your customer that it is a good product. The hidden message, lots of other people have bought this product, is proof enough. Have you ever wondered why the heck companies such as Worldwide Widget and other huge business entities run those simple little online contests asking people to answer why I like, quote unquote, name a product in 100 words or less? It's because their marketing team is brilliant. We're just marketers realized, rather than paying millions of dollars to a high-priced agency for a think tank slogan that might appeal to consumers, instead, with a contest, they could let consumers tell them what to write. I'm always saying that you can't give the people what they want until you ask them. For the chance of winning valuable prizes, and in some instances, just for the pleasure of having their name and picture posted on your website, droves of people are willing to go on record about your product, giving you countless glowing testimonials and red-hot sales headlines. In your own words, comments tell you precisely what's on your prospects' minds, and they do it with words that are similar to other consumers. A low price may be the reason someone would buy your product, but the language of your contest responses will help you narrow the focus of your pitch with the exact language that will press a prospect's buttons. Each of these headlines is focused on cost, and each sends a very different message. Listen to these. 10,000 consumers say, "Widget wash, it is the best value. Widget wash, it always fits my budget." That's Ohio housewife. "When I want cheap prices but good quality, I buy Wash It." Since these are coming from the heart comments from people just like you, consumers, we act in two good for marketing ways. Number one, other consumers consider the comments honest and believable. Number two, the comments push a consumer's button. Everyone else is doing it, so I should be too. Forbidden psychological tactic number 23. Compare and contrast vividly. Your true value depends entirely on what you are compared with. Bob Wells. Your website needs to grab attention. In the blink of an eye and the click of a mouse, you need to capture your visitor's attention and make him want to dive deeper into your site and your sales message. If your homepage, or any page for that matter, is visually uninteresting or has boring copy, you're doomed. If everything on your pages receive the same amount of importance, copy all the same size, borders all the same color, a visitor is likely to be bored and unfocused, a death knell for your conversion rate. So to fight boredom and to refocus your visitor's attention where it belongs on your sales message, you've got to have contrast. By definition, contrast is the striking difference between two objects when they're viewed in juxtaposition. Lock and loaded insight. If you emphasize nothing, then nothing stands out. But if you emphasize everything, nothing stands out either. Contrast must be used wisely, judiciously, carefully in order to be effective. So be careful not to use so much contrast that your page becomes cluttered and your message obscured. Contrast is a consumer's tool. It helps a buyer organize and prioritize elements of the offer, and it focuses visitors in the specific direction you want them to go. Contrast creates a sharp distinction between two items. The end result is to emphasize one item as clearly superior. Handled well, contrast will make your product stand out as a clear winner. Now, high contrast visual elements on your site, say big or small text blocks, draws visitors to the item you want them to notice. Interesting, vivid, high contrast copy blocks keep visitors focused on your key selling points and prevent them from getting distracted. If your pages don't use strong contrast, the offering appeals dull and uninteresting. Copy that doesn't make use of strong distinctions between brand U and brand X mean that your prospect has no clear differences to stay focused on. Lock and loaded insight. Don't be a wimp. If your contrasts are too mundane, you appear dull and uninteresting. Be daring. Don't just contrast black and white. Contrast ebony and ivory. Don't say your widget is big or theirs is small. Say my widget is so super humongous that it barely fits in our warehouse, and that their widget isn't big enough for a flea to put a teacup on. Forbidden psychological tactic number 24. The give me more factor. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, is that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed, in all of its forms, greed for life, for money, for love, knowledge, has marked the upward search of mankind. Gordon Gekko. Now, you may be familiar with the above quote from the movie Wall Street, but did you know that was inspired by a real-life speech from a real-life Wall Streeter? In 1986, Ivan Borsky, who would end up paying a $100 million fine for insider trading that same year, told the University of California's audience, "Greed is all right, by the way. I want you to know that. I think greed is healthy. You can be greedy and still feel good about yourself." That, in a nutshell, is the mindset of many consumers in the 21st century, from 1950s baby boomers and the me generation that they spawned, to all the little consumers who have been born to buy. Since then, the question has precedes every buying decision is this: what's in it for me? Even if they're the nicest people in the world, your customers and potential customers don't care about you, your philosophy, your business, how hard you worked to create the best product or the most fabulous website on the internet. To a degree, they don't even really care about the technical specs of a product. What floats the boat of a consumer are the benefits they receive from buying it, a product, a service, and how it will make them feel. They want to know how it will make their lives better, easier, how it will make them more popular, how it will make them the envy of everyone they see. That's what's in it for me. Lock and loaded insight. Potential customers may be swayed with incentives, bonuses, and value-added extras. Most people get the gotta have it bug when they think they have a chance at being one up on someone else by getting some more and paying less. I call this variation of what's in it for me, what's in it that's extra and just for me. Want a simple way to tell if your copy's up to snuff? Count the number of I's you have in your text and then compare it to the number of U's. You know in an instant whether you're writing to your prospect, what's in it for you, or to your own ego. Your ego is not your target audience. Your prospect's ego is. Forbidden psychological tactic number 25. Something for something. Sikong asked, is there one word which may serve as a rule of practice for all one's life? The master said, is not reciprocity such a word? What you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others. Said Confucius. The golden rule tells us to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, according to the rule of quid pro quo, which is Latin phrase that means something for something, give unto others and they'll give unto you in spades. Quid pro quo, also known as reciprocity, is not necessarily a balanced equation, especially in online marketing. You are encouraged to bend this rule just a bit. Your new rule should be, when you give something small, you can get something big in return. Big business. When you give a potential customer a free gift, you don't expect a gift back. You expect business. It's the reason there's a prize in the McDonald's Happy Meal and why trade show vendors have premiums. It's also the thinking behind advertising agencies that send a $1 bill with a direct mail solicitation. Giving begets getting. Offering a free gift generates a better response. And that's the reason more and more websites have learned that free bonuses generate paying business. What are the keys to developing a good reciprocal relationship? Value, for starters. The gift that you give needs to be something of genuine value to the recipient, something that he'll be pleased to receive and eager to use. Offering a free subscription to Playboy with every bottle of Viagra purchased at widgetdrugs.com makes sense. Offering a box of Godiva chocolates with an insulin tester does not. On dancerant.com, I offer visitors a free download of an incredibly informative mini course that includes a killer 53-minute interview and a chance to be an Inner Circle subscriber to my newsletter, also free. As you can imagine, I get a lot of takers of this priceless but no-cost information bonanza, and that's fine with me. Because when my subscribers download their freebie and are feeling appreciative of my generosity, I immediately offer them the opportunity to buy something from me. Now, and keep in mind that the cost for making my free gift are minimum, so the extra sales it generates are almost pure profit. Lock and loaded insight. It's important that the gift be given free and clear with no strings attached. Giving with no expectations of quid pro quo is more likely to make someone wish to reciprocate your kindness. That's why so many offers Say, this gift is yours to keep. Your generosity is appreciated, so your customers are less likely to return the product, even if they might be considering it. Interesting, huh? Forbidden psychological tactic number 26. Commitment ceremony. Unless commitment is made, there are only promises and hopes, but no plans. Peter Drucker. Do you know the story about the nose of the camel? It's the fanciful idea that a camel will ask if he can stick his nose into your tent. And if you say yes, next, he'll ask if he can put his whole head in, then his neck, and then one hump, and then two, and before you know it, you'll be on the outside of your tent looking in. The moral of the story is that you can prevent damage by taking action early, a variation on the Stitch in Time story. As a website owner, however, you want camels, consumer camels, to come into your tent by the herd, and consumer camels can be skittish, and you need to coax them. So rather than try to drag them in and get them committed to you all at once, you just apply this story in reverse. People often find it easier to agree to small details than to say yes to a large commitment. Capitalize on this tendency by leading your site visitors through a series of small painless yes steps before closing in for the kill, your ultimate sell. First, just invite them to look, then to stick their nose in, and then shoulder some responsibilities. Little by little, even the most hesitant consumer camel will be drawn deeper and deeper into your sales tent. This slow and subtle commitment ceremony has a genius effect of building on a string of yes answers to generate the biggest and most important yes of all. A yes, I'll buy now. An excellent way to get commitment is with if I would you situation. With this tactic, the prospect is only asked to make a small yes to your offer. So it's very, very easy to agree. And just like the incremental close, every yes is another link in the chain, another small push towards the finish line up ahead. The checker flag that says sold. Remember, this is a soft sell, not hard. To achieve your goals, you must word the question so that it doesn't sound salesy or high-pressured. You want to express your desire to achieve an objective, not make it sound as though you are browbeating someone into buying from you. Instead of trying to strong-arm a site visitor into immediately making a purchase, try a little less elbow grease and a little more finesse. First, ask a peripheral question that is designed to get the yes ball rolling. Are you tired of looking at your feet and seeing your belly instead? Would you be interested in our free detailing package with every purchase? Would you like the solution to your problem in an instant download? Every one of these sly little tangential offers easily generates a yes response from a site visitor. And every yes to a described benefit brings your prospect that much closer to the final sell. Lock and loaded insight. As the customer agrees to each question, he's mentally putting himself into a scenario where he has already purchased your product or service. He has indirectly said yes to the entire offering and is well on the way to convincing himself or herself to make the purchase. In online sales speak, this is sometimes called the incremental close. In Dan speak, this is called a killer tactic. Forbidden psychological tactic number 27. The Zen of sameness. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. Paul Joseph Goebbels. As an honest business person, you're not trying to turn lies into the truth, but you're trying to turn doubtful site visitors into certain it's time to buy consumers of your product or service. And in online business marketing, one of the cardinal rules is this. If you tell the truth and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. McDonald's isn't a Burger King because of its superior product. Mickey D's is successful because it provides consistency. Quarter pounder with cheese that tastes the same in Tel Aviv or Tokyo. That's the appeal. Anytime a consumer chows down with the clown, there's an expectation of sameness. Wherever you find McDonald's, you'll find pretty much the same menu, the same taste, the same service, not to mention the same logo, golden arches, on everything from a filet-o-fish box to French fries. And the consistent display of those arches is no accident. It's brilliant marketing consistency. Why brilliant? Because anytime you look for a McDonald's restaurant, you look for the same thing, golden arches. The consistency of the image and the promise of a consistency of experience is comforting and takes consumers to their happy place as they mentally relive their last happy meal and start to project having a bite of their next one. At the same time, the consistency of the marketing message burrows the company's logo deep into your subconscious. You internalize the logo and attach the marketing message, eat at McDonald's, to it. Soon, simply seeing any golden arch may get your stomach growling for a meal at McDonald's. You're not McDonald's, but delivering a consistent message and delivering a message consistently are the keys to your success. When people are hungry for information to help them in their online marketing efforts, their online search efforts inevitably lead them to a number of my various websites. If you haven't visited them yourself, take a moment and click on websiteconversionexpert.com, instantwebprofitssystem.com, instantwebprofitmentoring.com. As you go from one to another, notice the consistency of message delivery. All of my websites have consistent appearance to them. A simple long page with a signature color, a vibrant green used in the background. Although each site is slightly different, the consistent elements that are repeated at each URL work to brand my site to let visitors know immediately, oh, that's a Dan site. Even if you only have one website working for you, rather than an army like mine, you still need to develop consistency. The language and tone should be consistent from your homepage to your FAQ. Each page should have the same framing elements, layout, design, font, etc. The sameness of the frame helps visitors stay focused on the sales picture as they go from page to page. Consistency takes many forms in online marketing. Consistency in selling, saying the same thing over and over again until it sticks, is something that you hear a lot about in politics, where staying on message is a mantra. Politicians, who are, after all, just marketing professionals with a different kind of products to sell, know how important the power of repetition is in anchoring a thought in consumers' or voters' mind. That's why spokespeople pick and stick a negative adjective into their opponent's lapel. For example, the tax-happy lawmaker, the power-hungry governor, and from the recent U.S. political scene, the flip-flopping senator from Massachusetts. You can stick to a negative message about your competitor, but it's more important that you repeat your positive message as often as you can. If your widget is easy to put together, then it should always be referred as the easy-to-assemble widget. If your information product comes with a free bonus, be sure to call it the bonus-rich widget information kit whenever you mention it by name. These are stellar ways to keep a consistent marketing message going out repeatedly. The repetition cycle gives your message sufficient time to work its conversion magic on your prospects. Lock and loaded insight. Your message must be consistent, and it must be delivered and redelivered consistently. You might need to pitch a prospect as many as 9 times before you make your sell, maybe even more. Consider an informative autoresponder series or a regular newsletter like the ones I offer at instantwebprofitmentoring.com or dansrant.com. Forbidden psychological tactic number 28. Show them how broad your shoulders are. Be wary of the man who urges an action in which he himself incurs no risk. Joaquin Satini. Are you a risk taker? Someone who is willing to shoulder the responsibility without being sure? Someone who's willing to put your life on the line or your hard-earned money to try something without being sure you'll like the outcome? Well, you may be a thrill seeker with a taste for extreme activities and risky business, but when it comes to making a purchase, consumers aren't. It seems as though every prospective consumer at one time or another channels the spirit of author Joaquin Satini when they are making a purchase. Unfortunately, when it comes to online business transactions, there's always a risk involved. 9 times out of 10, the buyer is at risk for buying the wrong thing, at risk for feeling stupid, and worst of all, at risk for not being satisfied. Without being able to get up close and personal with the item they are considering, they are at risk for making a mistake. This risk is what prevents people from saying, "I'm sold." A great way to prove to people that they can buy from you with confidence is with a risk reversal tactic. Now, this takes the burden of being right off the shoulders of the consumer because there's an out if they're wrong. If you lower or eliminate the risk to your prospect, your sales will multiply, quite literally, overnight, and your conversion rate will skyrocket. Could it really be as easy as that? Yes, of course. This is online marketing science, not like rocket science. If you provide a good service at a fair price and remove any possibility of disappointment, in other words, you assume the risk, your website will be overrun with visitors. Your tally sheet will be spilling over with sales, and your bank account will be overwhelmed by a huge influx of money. What are ways to eliminate risk? Guarantees are one option, but there are others. Position your online offer for maximum risk reversal with superior guarantees and other consumer-friendly risk removers, like these: ironclad guarantees, extended guarantees, better than 100% guarantees, free trial periods, short-term introductory packages, no obligation packages. A well-planned risk reversal strategy can be the nudge that ultimately tips the conversion scales in your favor. With risk reversal, you have pre-programmed your prospect's mind with the idea that you and the benefits outlined in your offer can be trusted. Once trust is in place, can a sale be far behind? Of course not. Not sure you know what makes a great guarantee? No problem. I've included 21 killer risk reversal statements as a bonus. What if? Now, some of your customers may in fact be dissatisfied and ask for their money back. But again, you are an honest business person who stands behind your product, and the occasional refund is to be expected. Now, and while I can't guarantee that no one will take advantage of your generous risk reversal, I can guarantee that you will attract many more clients and make many more sales simply by offering risk reversal in the first place. I also promise that profits from increased sales thanks to risk reversal will more than outdistance the expense of returns, refunds, and other guarantees. Lock and loaded insight. A consumer doesn't choose to buy from you because they think they can capitalize on your risk reversal. If they truly believe they'll return your product, they wouldn't buy in the first place. Forbidden psychological tactic number 29. With love from me to you. This time is personal. Headline for Jaws: The Revenge. How many times have you been out on the street and heard someone call your name? Even if you are in an unfamiliar place where it isn't likely that you would run into anyone you know, you hear your name and you turn around and see, who's talking to me? We are programmed to react to our name. It is impossible not to respond. From earliest childhood, our names are used to get our attention. Hey, John. Hey, Mary. That's why when you hear or see your name, you just can't ignore it. And that's the powerful allure of personalization on your webpage. Once your message is able to achieve a one-to-one personal interaction with your site visitor, then your chances of making that sale have just been increased exponentially by 100%, 200%, 300%, or even 600%. These incredible results are the reason that addressing someone personally as an individual is the mantra of every top marketer. When you stop and think about it, the direct mail offline has always had one great advantage. Most of the time, the marketer knows precisely who he is writing to and is able to address the letter to that named individual. Online, the story so far has been quite different. And that's why virtually every online sales letter and every autoresponder you read starts with one of these so-called personalized salutations. Dear friend, dear professional, dear entrepreneur, dear fishing enthusiast. These aren't personalized greetings. They are just thesaurus-driven replacements for the crudest way of getting someone's attention. Hey, you! It immediately makes the consumer feel faceless and nameless, literally, and does nothing to impart the message, I'm talking to you. If your opening is weak, your sales conversion rates will even be weaker. Using dear friend as an opening is a blunt object when you need something that's sharp and incisive. Putting your faith on standard, generic message openings is disaster in the making because the terrific piece of marketing copy you've written will never get read if you lose them at hello. Many marketers, both online and offline, now rely on software to generate personalized communications. They can plug in everything from the reader's name, address, and other bits of personal data plugged into the message. Lock and loaded insight. Surprisingly, even though web buyers realize that personalization is accomplished with technology, they still respond to seeing their name in print. Getting personal. There's more to personalization than simply using someone's first and last name in an email message. On your site, there are two main approaches to personalizing: rule-based filtering and collaborative filtering. Let me explain. Rules-based personalization generates a profile of each customer. The data is used to identify patterns of behavior. The patterns are then used to predict a shopper's future likes and dislikes. Traditionally, a customer registration form has been used to acquire a prospect's age, occupation, address, household, income level, hobbies, interest, and so on. However, because consumers fear unsolicited follow-ups, the method is being abandoned in favor of more subtle techniques. Personalization can also be achieved with a look at group dynamics. Now, this is true in collaborative filtering, which looks at information and behaviors of groups of people who share one or more characteristics. One of the most popular ways to achieve collaborative filtering is with tools to monitor click streams, the path users take to arrive at a website. Click stream information lets online businesses track the number of times viewers click on banners, for example. With this data in hand, marketers now can customize advertising campaigns to their viewers' preferences and serving habits. You understand me. Buyers want to feel that you understand their definition of value and have a solution that reflects their priorities. As you identify traits among individuals and groups, you can adjust your site so that their online experience feels tailored just to them. This is a customer-oriented selling at its best. Forbidden psychological tactic number 30. Get involved with questions and buttons. If there's no worker involvement, there's no quality system. Lloyd Dobbins and Claire Crawford Mason. Thinking about quality. If there's no buyer involvement, there's no sale. Dan Locke. Thinking about quality marketing. Whether it's test driving a Lexus, trying on a pair of Ralph Lauren jeans, or acting as the volunteer demonstrator for a new mob at a mall kiosk, the more a consumer is actively involved in the selling process, the more likely he or she is to be involved in the buying process as well. And the opposite is true. An uninvolved consumer is more likely to walk away from even the most incredible offer. Now, this presents a challenge for marketers on the web. There's no product to handle. There's no fabric to feel. There's no fresh car fragrance to smell. So all you have at your disposal are static pictures and words, right? Wrong. The web's biggest moneymakers are those sites where the pictures and words involve prospects mentally and physically. To win the marketing war, put your prospects on active duty by inviting them to answer questions, create mental pictures, as well as click buttons, access pull-down menus, listen to audio clips, etc., etc. Do that, and you'll be able to enlist an army of eager buyers in no time flat. Attracting attention is only half the game in marketing. Hell, a crazy person standing on the street screaming, "The end is near," can get your attention. But holding that attention and transforming attention into involvement and involvement into desire is what lines your pockets with gold. Involvement must be maintained throughout your website and marketing messages. For sites that use sales letter, this strategy frequently gets into the action early in a pre-headline that poses an involving. For sites that use sales letter, This strategy frequently gets into the action early in a pre-headline that poses an involving question like, can I share a secret with you about boiler repairs? Is the government getting too much of your money? Did you even think you would need an adult diaper? Are you suffering because you're losing your hair? Have you heard the good news about mortgage rates? After a prospect has gotten involved by answering the question you posed, it's important to maintain that initial involvement with a strategic series of questions and buttons. Clicking on buttons is a physical activity that can break up the monotone of reading. The questions, meanwhile, keep your prospects mentally in the picture. In addition to requiring a response, questions are your paintbrushes for creating a rich and vivid what-if landscape where a consumer can place himself or herself. Once they are in the picture, your prospective customers are likely to stay there as long as you keep asking them questions and keep painting pictures. One thing we know about the human mind is that it hates unresolved questions. So when you ask a question in your online sales copy, a consumer can't help but respond with an answer. That response, whether it's a yes or a no or maybe, is a demonstration of involvement. And involvement is the first small but powerfully sticky rung of your sales ladder. Placed at key intervals throughout your site, questions and buttons allow you to guide prospects effortlessly on a path that goes step by step from, would you like to learn more? Click here. Straight through to, would you like to get 6 free bonuses and pay 50% less than the published price? Click here. Lock and loaded insight. Involved with something at stake is even better than simply involved. When Lifesavers Candy was toying with the idea of retiring pineapple from its 5-pack assortment, the company asked the customers to vote on a new flavor to take its place. What an eye-opener that turned out to be. More than 1 million customers voted at the Lifesavers website or call in to the toll-free number to keep the existing pineapple flavor. They voted with their wallets too. For their efforts, Lifesavers got a re-energized and involved customer base, a great deal of publicity, priceless market research, and a bump in sales too. Not a bad return on the nominal cost of conducting a survey. Forbidden psychological tactic number 31. Where's the logic in that? To be persuasive, we must be believable. To be believable, we must be credible. To be credible, we must be truthful. Edward R. Morrow. Edward Morrow was talking about the news business when he made the statement above, but the sentiment translates to any industry and should be a fundamental principle in your online marketing efforts. If you're not already familiar with it, consider stitching a sample and putting it up on your wall. People make most decisions based on emotions, but they validate their decisions based on logic and reasoning. Now, you may think that consumers buy what they desire, and that's true, but the consumer may not want to admit that. Many of us, at least most of us, I would venture to say have been taught that acting logically is good and acting emotionally, which translates to illogically, is bad. It's what made Star Trek's Mr. Spock such an appealing character to so many of his fans. Spock's brain is probably inside your prospect's head. In order to feel good about a purchase, your site visitor wants to feel that he is making a logical decision, intelligent, well thought out, and supported by evidence, and proves is the right thing to do. So in order to influence your customers, you need to present true, credible facts about your product or service. These facts will serve as the logical justification for a purchase. The easiest way to illustrate this is with one of the great emotional, logical purchase, a car. Let's head over to widgetonlineautoworld.com for a lesson here. You need a mode of transportation to take you to work each day, and the widget wiener, an inexpensive subcompact, will do the trick. But you are a whiner and you don't want the winner. You want a winner. Because although the winner would fulfill your need, it doesn't satisfy your desire, your emotional need. What you want are all the good feelings that will come from owning a widget Wonderbar car. You want to feel smart, envied, sophisticated, cool, and better than average Joe, touring around in a top-of-the-line high-performance 0 to 60 in no time flat, gas-guzzling sport coupe. Weighing need versus want, you give yourself a challenge. You make yourself that you need the Wunderbar car. That's where the logic comes in, and a good marketing strategy. Dewey Cheatham, Widget's #1 sales rep, is certain that the visitors to Auto World really want the Wunderbar car. He's certain because he's reviewed his clickstream data and knows that even people who initially click on winner pages invariably click to the Wunderbar car pages too, repeatedly, and that they linger on those pages longer than any other pages on site. Dewey also knows that if he compared the winner with the Wunderbar car, logic would dictate the purchase of a subcompact for daily commuting. Well, Dewey didn't win his Widget Sales Rep of the Year award for 5 years in a row by selling subcompacts. So Dewey inserts a pop-up box that reads, "I see you're looking at 2 of our most popular models. The winner has its fans, but did you know?" Before you know what's happening, Dewey hits the unsuspecting visitor right between the eyes with these irresistible logic points. The Wonder car was voted Widgetville's favorite sport coupe for under $40,000. Now, the subtext of this message is, this is a popular choice with others. The logic invokes the emotion of belonging. The prospect says, well, if I buy a Wunderbar car, I'm in step with my neighbors. The Wunderbar car is already being considered a classic and has developed a cult following like the old Ford Mustang. Your prospect's logic detector hears, this is a car that will have a high resale value and could be a valuable collectible. If I buy it, I must be a smart shopper. When it comes to gas mileage, no sport coupe does better than the Wunderbar car. The irrefutable logic of this statement is that the Wunderbar car is affordable to operate. That allows the buyer to say, I'm fiscally responsible. Lock and loaded insight. What's important about the sales rep's list of logical reasons for buying the Wunderbar car is that they talk exclusively about the high-end option. There's no mention for the lower-priced winner and no effort to compare the two. The logic points are laser-focused on driving home the emotions of owning a popular sports car. Forbidden psychological tactic number 32. The easy way out and into a sale. You can't spell sold without E-Z. Anonymous. Once upon a time, New York was known as the city that never sleeps, an anomaly in a world where traditional business was conducted from 9 to 5. Well, thanks to the internet and a global way of life, a cultural earthquake that has turned the world into a 24/7 marketplace with buyers and sellers doing business any time of the day or night. The consumer has learned the wonders of self-service on the internet, setting demands for convenience to an extraordinary new level. Consumers expect everything from an instant analysis of loan applications, an instant approval of mortgages, instant delivery of ebooks, and instant access to concerts, seminars, online members-only content. Sometimes what's convenient may be more important to a consumer than what's high quality or the best value. Prepackaged food doesn't taste as good as homemade, but it's easy. A can of soda at the corner deli costs more than a 2-liter bottle at the supermarket, but the deli is convenient. Convenience is different things to different people. For a single parent, convenience is the kids' ballroom at IKEA where Muppets can play while mom and pop shop. For a senior who no longer drives, free delivery from the pharmacy is important. It's important that you go to the source, your customers, to find out what convenience factors would best fit their needs. Once you know what your customers want, get busy implementing those ideas, concepts, and service. A good example of this is my own electronic newsletter, Dan's Rant. Now, the rant is extremely popular with my subscribers, but a recent survey showed me that many people wanted the information in permanent hard copy form. So that's what I'm doing. The key concept here is this. I wouldn't have known if I didn't ask. The benefit of serving your customers on their convenience preference is twofold. First, your market research with existing customer gives you outstanding insight into what potential new customers will want in terms of ease, no contracts, online payments, instant credit approval, etc., etc. Second, when your existing customers see you take action and made their experience easier and more pleasant, they will know that you truly listen to them and care enough to be responsive to their request. Before the mega mart, in the days before supermarkets and shopping malls, at a time when dinosaurs walked the earth, or maybe it was just a few years ago, most people shopped at convenience stores. Whatever else they wanted, it was clear that consumers wanted convenience, the ability to buy what they wanted, when they wanted, without having to look or work too hard or travel too far. When the multiplex shopping experience did arrive, they frequently offer a wider selection and lower prices, not to mention a food court, rides, and entertainment. But local businesses continue to thrive because they provide convenience. The bottom line, ease trumps almost everything as a super closer. Today, 2/3 of Americans still shop at convenience stores at least once a week. It doesn't matter that the store only sells 2 brands of soda. It doesn't matter that the cost will be 30% more than supermarket prices. Make your website the easy place to shop and see how it is to make more sales to more customers, despite the fact that your competitor offers more advantages you don't. Lock and loaded insight. Convenience is the impulse buyer's best friend. And one of the reasons that the internet is such a money machine, nothing is more seductive than the convenience of just click here to buy now, except perhaps the phrase, click here to get your free gift immediately. Either way, it's all about fast, easy, and convenient. Forbidden psychological tactic number 33. What makes you so special? If you want to be truly successful, invest in yourself to get the knowledge you need to find your unique factor. When you find it and focus on it and persevere, your success will blossom. Sydney Medwet. Do you do something that sets you apart from your competition in the marketplace? Do you make a better mousetrap, a cheaper mousetrap, a humane mousetrap? Can your mousetrap be ordered online and delivered instantly through an email? Before making a purchase, a consumer makes comparisons. The unique quality or quantities of your product or service is the major reason that people buy from your site rather than your competitors. That's why you should load up your site with your most mouth-watering benefits and features. But beyond that, you need to position these special benefits as unique to you and unique in your marketplace. This is called differentiation, and it works even if you aren't so different. Domino's Pizza advertised, if we don't deliver your pizza within 30 minutes or less, it's free. Now, people assumed that Domino's had the fastest delivery and was the only you ring, we bring delivery service they guaranteed, that if they didn't, your order would be free. In fact, many of Domino's competitors were also delivering their pizzas in 30 minutes or less, but they weren't saying anything about it. But Domino's was able to cash in on this important benefit simply by, guess what, mentioning it. What's great about differentiation, especially in Domino's example, is that the message is totally positive. Domino's never says anything bad about other pizza delivery services. It just focuses on strong points that consumers infer are unique benefits. Lock and loaded insight. Even if you do many things the same way your competitors do, the benefit that you point to may be unique to a prospect because your competition doesn't mention it. Don't bash the competition. Just position brand X as inferior to brand U. Why? Because a potential customer may be skeptical if you start throwing rocks at the competition. This is also true in politics, where voters often see negative campaigning as a substitute for substance. The Domino's ad is all substance. It doesn't bash the competition. There's no need to. To connect with pizza lovers, Domino's just highlights its most consumer-magnetic benefit. A pie when it's been promised, or there's no charge. Instead of being negative, be positive. Acknowledge that the other guy is doing his best with his online offering, but make it clear that you do much better. Explain that your competition or your competitor's product is good enough, but yours provides superior value. You can even compliment competitors by damning them with faint praise like this. A one-man web design company definitely has some advantages, but no single person could begin to provide the full-on creative power of the team at widgetweb.com. Lock and loaded insight. This translates as, we do what they don't. Guarantee your satisfaction. Forbidden psychological tactic number 34. What's wrong with you? Conceal a flaw and the world will imagine the worst. Marcus Aurelius. One of the greatest emperors in Roman history, Marcus Aurelius, was a man ahead of his time in terms of in many ways, not the least of which was his understanding the psychology of the consumer as shown in the quote above. Now, he would have made a great online marketer, and you can learn from him. What a great way to turn skeptical consumers into true believers. Admit a flaw, own up to a mistake, reveal that you made an error, and poof, your website and your offer have instant credibility. Now, for obvious reasons, you probably think it's crazy to advertise your mistakes to the world. You want to look good, so you figure it's better to be mysterious about what goes on behind closed doors at your internet business. But the fact of the matter is that people love doing business with someone who's honest. And nothing says honest ape like a marketing message that lets consumers in on a dirty little secret. Our customers wanted the deluxe widget, but we ordered tons of the basic model and now we got to unload them fast to make room for new inventory. We had a flood at our overseas warehouse and need to liquidate, pardon the pun, what's left of our inventory at a discount. We are lowering our prices to raise cash for our president and his wife to get matching Botox treatments. Let's face it, if you're making a special offer, a 50% off sale, a buy one get one free deal, or a year of free maintenance, nobody thinks you are doing it just because you're Mr. Good Guy or Mrs. Sweetie Pie. In fact, your generosity is likely to make people suspicious. A special offer can make consumers fear the worst, like, those widgets are probably damaged, or that widget has passed its expiration date, if you don't give them a reason for what you're doing. These imaginary worst-case scenarios are deadly, can kill your sale instantly. People want to have the reason for what you do, and they like to have a reason for what they do. Doing something for a reason is logical, and consumers, again, love logic almost as much as emotion. Now, I know this probably goes against every grain of business sense, but I promise you, if you give people a good, believable reason why you're doing what you're doing, they'll love you for it. If you open up, they will too, with open arms and open wallets. Lock and loaded insight. Instead of worrying about spinning your story, just let people go behind the scenes at your company. Whatever the reason you're doing something out of the ordinary, you don't need to sugarcoat it or keep it under wraps. Let your customers in on a secret. Just tell the truth. Forbidden psychological tactic number 35. Get consumers into the picture. You've got to see it to believe it. As the old saying goes, seeing is believing. And that's why the term see for yourself is so popular in marketing lingo. It's also the reason your copy should put consumers in the picture so they can see themselves. Your message should be crafted to turn site visitors into mental users of your product or service. The words you choose should help them visualize themselves after the sale, enjoying all the benefits of all the features you offer. Turn on your prospect's imagination by telling a compelling story in which they have the starring role. If you paint a picture that's rich in descriptive detail, you'll get the prospects to see themselves in the picture with your product. Do that, and you'll be more than halfway towards turning your mental cases into real users. Let me show you how to pose someone into the picture and then hold them there. Imagine that you are an average mom and dad, overworked and stressed out. You're surfing the web looking for a new family car, and you find this online offer for the widget wagon wheeler. When you buy a widget wagon wheeler, you and your family can take the high road, the low road, or go off-road completely, heading up muddy inclines or down slippery slopes. In the summertime, pack up the kids, and the neighbors' kids too, and head to the beach where wheeler is perfect for beachside barbecues. In the winter, the wheeler ready to go to the distance to your favorite ski resort high in the Rockies. And when Junior and Missy are staying with Grandma and Grandpa, the wagon wheeler is ready for a night on the town for adults only. This detailed, vivid, and very appealing story will easily transport any parent out of the here and now and whisk them away to the fantasy island of a happy, joyous family outing, or a romantic night for two, all thanks to the wagon wheeler. Want to make your stories really impossible to ignore? Don't talk to the hand, as friend Treasure says. Talk to the ego. We all love to talk about ourselves, and we all love to hear about ourselves. It's the reason that phrases with the word you in them are so universally appealing. One of my favorite examples of this is the story of Adman Bird and Ernie. Now, Bird says to Ernie, "I'll bet you $100 that I could get our boss, Mr. Toughsell, to read a full page of web copy without even trying." Now, since Mr. Toughsell was a notorious non-reader, Ernie figured that he was a surefire winner and was already dreaming of an expensive steak dinner paid for by Bird. Surprise, Bird won the bet by using the words, "This is about Mr. Toughsell," as the headline at the top of the page. Mr. Toughsell was glued to that page like a fly to fly paper from the first word until the last. Forbidden psychological tactic number 36. Dare to be different. Be daring, be different, be impractical, be anything that will assert integrity of purpose and imaginative vision against the place-savers, the creatures of the commonplace, the slaves of the ordinary. Cecil Beaton. The old days of dry, stuffy business-to-consumer and business-to-consumer advertising are over. Even traditionally, stodgy business sectors like finance and investment have learned the value of marching to a different drummer with marketing messages that are outrageous. You know the drill. In order to get even a consumer to notice your message, you're going to need to grab their attention away from the thousands of advertising messages that compete for their attention every day. Now, outrageous can be good, and it can also be bad. Now, I'm not talking about splashing 14 colors of type across your page and having a million pop-ups with wacky animations. When you are outrageous simply for the sake of being outrageous, you just look foolish. The kind of outrageous that I'm talking about is strictly business, and it's very focused in its intent to generate interest. Used wisely, it will make you appear unique, interesting, and worth getting to know better. Now, in an online world that is frequently powered by plain vanilla, outrageous marketing will get you noticed and generate word of mouth. It will differentiate you from your competition just as much as the unique benefits and features you promote. For internet marketers, outrageous takes three main forms on their websites. The outrageous headline. Outrageously interesting, so you have to read more. Let me give you an example. Plain vanilla headline. Widget wax makes your car shine. Outrageous headline. Widget Max makes your car's finish so shiny that it can be seen by space satellites. The outrageous claim. Outrageously beneficial, so you want it too. Plain vanilla claim. Widget face cream makes you appear years young. Outrageous claim. Use widget face cream and prepare to be caught the next time you go out for drinks. The outrageous offer. Outrageously favorable, so you would be a fool to say no. Plain vanilla offer. Hire John Widget as your consultant, and you'll get 10 full hours of physical training for just $500. Outrageous offer. With John Widget, you'll get 10 full hours of his personal one-on-one coaching, round-the-clock access to his online help center, a complete kit for monitoring and managing your progress, and a body, mind, and spirit makeover that will last a lifetime, all for less than the cost of joining a health club where you're just one more face in a nameless crowd. $500 complete. The old school approach to marketing was under-promise and over-deliver. You've heard that before. Today, however, consumers are shopping at rap speed, and they don't have the time for the subtleties for this strategy. Under-promise, and they'll just move on and keep looking for something better. In some cases, humor can have outrageous results. If your business is in a niche that is normally, let's say, traditional and conservative, for example, then doing something even slightly outrageous will make a tremendous splash. An established online law firm that I know invited its subscribers to visit the site for free legal advice at Christmas time. Now, the invitation was sent through email and was quite formal looking with very straightforward language. When visitors arrived at the site, however, the tone changed. Here's an example of the free advice that was offered. "This the season to be jolly, not sued. And though it's nice to welcome friends and family home for the holidays, there are risks involved. To keep the ho-ho-ho in your holiday, our legal team has assembled this expert advice. It's our gift to you. False arrest. If you don't want to be known as the person that sent Santa to jail, remember to turn off your alarm system when you hear footsteps on the roof, just to make sure it's really Santa up there. Order to show Claus. Don't promise your children that Santa Claus is coming to town. Be prepared to produce him or face the consequences." Avoiding alienation of affection. A misplaced spray of mistletoe can lead to more than just a kiss. To keep your guest out of divorce court and yourself from civil liability, consider a nice Christmas cactus. Whatever happens this holiday season, we are here to help. You can reach us any time of the day or night, even at 11:59 on New Year's Eve. And if you have a question now, click here to send us an email. The response was overwhelming. Many clients sent email messages simply to compliment the firm on its sense of humor. That let the company know that the outrageous factor was working in terms of attracting attention. But there was an additional benefit. Lots of those messages included requests for appointments and inquiries about real services too. Forbidden psychological tactic number 37. Be a cheerleader. Enthusiasm is the greatest asset in the world. It beats money and power and influence. It is no more or less than faith in action. Henry Chester. World-famous motivator Dale Carnegie, he's the power of positive thinking guy, tells the story of a speaker who was promoting an idea that was absolutely and utterly ridiculous. Yet ridiculous as it was, people were excited, and at the end of the speech was eager to buy into what the speaker was selling. How come? If the idea was so absurd, what convinced the audience? According to Carnegie, enthusiasm. The speaker was so passionate and enthusiastic about his subject. As a result, more than half the audience never questioned his authority. They just bought his product. Building credibility with enthusiasm. To the consumer, your enthusiasm reflects on your credibility. That's why one of my favorite marketing slogans or unique positioning statements is the one used by the Hair Club for Men. In all their ads, company founder Cy Sperling says with passion, "I'm not only the Hair Club president, I'm also a client." This completely transforms a prospect's response to a Cy's pitch. They don't think of the president's comments about Hair Club as just marketing hype. Cy's enthusiastic comments are received as a personal testimonial to the product's benefits. In ancient Greece, smart people thought enthusiasm was a gift from the gods. Anyone who had enthusiasm was imbued with special powers. And in today's world, the same thing is true. People with enthusiasm have the special power to convince, motivate, and sell. Be passionate, be real, be successful, and happy. Try to focus your work on products and services and ideas you truly feel positive about so that you can communicate the enthusiasm in a genuine and honest way. And instead of taking a black hat approach to marketing and trying to hoodwink someone into buying what you have to sell, Focus your efforts on people who are very likely to enjoy a real benefit from what you offer. At the end of the day, you will feel better selling something you believe in to someone who will believe in it too, once they use it. Lock and loaded insight. If Daniel Webster had been in online marketing rather than the dictionary business, he would have said that enthusiasm is the process of transferring your positive feelings about your product and service to your site visitors. If you can get your prospects to join you in a positive, enthusiastic mindset, they'll be eager to buy. Forbidden psychological tactic number 38. Urgency trumps procrastination. Procrastination is the grave in which opportunity is buried, unknown. Don't let human nature kill your sale. What aspect of human nature am I talking about? It's our natural tendency to procrastinate and put things off. Every time I think of creating a sense of urgency, I'm reminded of my childhood, namely the ice cream truck and the popcorn wagon. Those guys knew how to create urgency. When I heard that music getting closer, the ice cream truck was on its way. Same thing when I heard the bells ring on the popcorn wagon. I knew I had to get there fast with my fist full of change, or I would miss out. Now, that's the kind of urgency I'm talking about. You need to create the same thing with your website offer. Urgency gives the reader a reason to act now instead of later. Urgency turns up the heat under desire. Without it, desire will cool down to interest, and interest will quickly turn to apathy and disinterest. We put off taking action even for things we want for a variety of reasons. If you don't get immediate action from your target group, there's a good chance they won't come back. Out of sight, out of mind. It's up to you to help your prospects and customers overcome their tendency to procrastinate and take immediate action to get what you are offering. You do that with a ticking clock and a powerful sense of urgency. The most common method of creating a sense of urgency is to have an expiration date on an offer, a special deal, or discount. If they respond by a certain timeline, a date, a deadline, they get a special offer. However, there are several other ways to create a sense of urgency. Here are a few of them. Price increase. Give the recipients of your direct mail postcard the opportunity to purchase before prices go up. Bonus offer. Instead of offer a discount, include a bonus for responding before a certain date. Limited supplies. The customer needs to respond quickly or they might miss out on the opportunity. A sense of urgency fires up a prospect so that they are ready to respond to your call to action. It's important to ensure your online message includes both of these elements. For example, contact us before May 15th to take advantage of our special offer. Click here to order before midnight and the 6 bonuses are yours. Order before December 31st to lock in lower prices. A call to action does exactly what the name implies. It urges your prospect to do it, and an urgent call to action says, do it now. A fundamental truth in sales and marketing is this: if you don't ask for the reader to respond, they won't. I'll say it again. If you don't ask the reader to respond immediately, they won't, and you may never get another chance to ask. Lock and loaded insight. Consumers aren't stupid. Chances are they'll visit your website several times before making a purchase. If they see the same order before midnight message over and over again, you're not creating a sense of urgency, just a sense that you're a liar. Forbidden psychological tactic number 39. Guilt trip. Guilt, the gift that keeps on giving. Irma Bombeck. I'm not sure what satirist Irma Bombeck had in mind when she made the above statement, but she might easily have been talking about guilt as a gift to marketers. Guilt, like Esperanto, is an international language and one of the most common negative emotions across cultures. Consumer guilt, defined by market research scientists as an emotional state involving penitence, remorse, self-blame, and self-punishment, is equally global. People feel guilty when they become aware that they have broken a rule and violated their own standards or beliefs. They also feel guilty when they failed to accept or carry out their responsibility. While consumers are feeling guilty, Marketers are feeling elated. Why? Because the guilt-inducing transgression can be enlisted to help make a sale. Doesn't your child's safety demand the best? Get widget kindergartens for your windows today. If your parent, the above statement from widget kindergartens lean on your buy button like a ton of bricks. The clear implication is that if you don't purchase kindergartens, it's your fault that your offspring will have to settle for second best in home safety and risk life and limb falling out of an unprotected window. Talk about guilt. A consumer can feel guilty about others, themselves, or even the state of the world. Guilt is an especially effective tool in the nonprofit sector, where solicitations rely heavily on the prospective donor's compassion for others to generate income. Great prompts that help bring guilt to the service include: didn't you promise yourself you would be an X by now? Isn't it time you stop lying to yourself about blank? What are you doing to save the planet? Now, guilt is a negative appeal. Other negative appeals include anger. Are you sick and tired of blank? Fear. Are you frightened that blank? Insecurity. Are you afraid to blank? Envy. Why does everyone else always seem to blank? Regret. Would you change X if you could blank? Shame. Are you too embarrassed to blank? Here's the tricky part. Negative appeals generate negative emotions. If you make your prospect feel too uncomfortable, he won't look to you for a way to make them feel better. Instead, a consumer will choose quick relief and click away from your site and the source of their discomfort. So although you make statements that may arouse feelings of guilt, you will never explicitly tell people to buy out of guilt. Instead, what you do is offer a preemptive strike. You position your product or service as an opportunity to avoid guilt. Your guilt appeals need to be just as creatively conceived and worded as every other aspect of your online marketing message, or they'll blow up in your face. In an era of market-savvy consumers, it's important to avoid well-known guilt tricks that your prospects will recognize as overtly manipulative. Stimulate guilt to get a strong emotional response from your prospects, then appeal to their better nature by telling them to buy because it's the right thing to do. Lock and loaded insight. In some instances, guilt will serve as a deterrent to making a purchase. But don't worry, you can still use guilt to your advantage. Rather than stirring up guilt, your copy can alleviate guilt. For example, a working mom needs time for herself if she wants to give her best to her family. A visit to Widget Day Spa is time well spent. Book your appointment online and receive a mom-friendly discount. Forbidden psychological tactic number 40. Familiarity. Familiarity breeds contempt. Ease up. In politics, familiarity doesn't breed contempt, it breeds votes. Paul Lazaresfield. Just like in the political arena, where Americans once cast their vote for a monkey because his name was one that they had heard often before. Being a familiar face on the web is a positive, not a negative, for your business. I know you translates into I trust you. There are three most beautiful words that a marketer can hear. As many new companies find out, sometimes too late, to save themselves from self-destruction, the internet is not a level playing field. No matter how good a product or service might be, people are much more likely to buy Coca-Cola than Widget Cola, a brand name they've never heard before. Even if they aren't familiar with the exact product, consumers will buy what's familiar. Let's do a little test that will demonstrate this. Imagine someone shows you 3 identical white boxes and tells you that you must choose one for your company and that your superior will evaluate your choice. White box number 1 has a generic no-name label. White box number 2 has a label that says widget made, and white box number 3 has a Sony label. Okay, make your selection. Did you choose Sony? Of course you did, because even though you know nothing else about your purchase, you're familiar with the brand name Sony. Lock and loaded insight. Would it matter if you knew the product inside was something other than electronics? Probably not. The Sony brand is well established, which makes you confident that if you are dissatisfied, Sony will make good with a refund or exchange if needed. If you're a startup company trying to promote a new or superior product, you are definitely at a disadvantage at first. To turn things around, you need to burrow your brand into your prospects' minds until they're familiar and comfortable with you as an old friend. One way to accomplish this is to model your website on the archetypes of the industry in which you are competing. Archetypes are the originals that took the big boys millions of dollars and thousands of hours to create. The good news is for you is that you don't need to invent or reinvent the wheel or the archetype. You just need to take advantage of it. Now, don't be a copycat. Your goal is to be similar enough to your big league competitors to make you familiar to consumers, but different enough to brand your site as new, unique, special, and better. You must present information repeatedly and in the same way in order to gain recognition and familiarity. Running an ad once is rarely effective. It will take the average consumer 7 exposures to your message to sink in, and a lot more contact to develop trust and familiarity. The problem is that many marketers don't stay the course. They get tired of seeing the same thing over and over themselves and decide that the repetition is boring to the consumer. They change the look and the content of their sites without realizing that the consumer isn't bored at all. In fact, they were just starting to get comfortable with the message and familiar with its content when the change-happy marketer threw a monkey wrench into things by making unnecessary alterations. Brand familiarity engenders trust, even if the product is known to be of poor quality. The reason their names are well known. This is especially true in the automotive industry. Cars that receive poor ratings continue to sell well year after year, primarily because consumers are familiar with the brand name. Lock and loaded insight. To some people, a sense of familiarity is a stronger buying factor than common sense. That's because most people trust the evil they know more than the evil they don't know, even if he's making a heavenly offer. Forbidden psychological tactic number 41. Here plus now equals wow. To an American, gratification, instant and lavish, is a birthright. Bill Bryson, 20th century author. Instant gratification is not soon enough. Meryl Streep. Blame it on the see-it-buy-it Hollywood lifestyle that spawned Meryl and Carey. Blame it on the 60-second sound bites, instant drink mixes, scratch-and-win lottery tickets, and microwave ovens. Blame it on 1950s TV dinners. Blame it on technology or the internet or even MTV. Whatever the cost, the effect is clear. In a lightning-fast world, where everything else is happening at a breakneck pace, consumers expect gratification at the same speed, instantly. If instant gratification is what consumers want, then instant gratification is certainly what you want to deliver. And the internet, with its 9-second response time, is the perfect place to do it. Although it wasn't designed that way, the web is the best sales venue possible for satisfying today's impatient consumers. Want to see a sports car that's tricked out with options and extras? You don't have to go to the dealer. Just click a button on the net. Want to create your own wedding invitations? You can do that online and see the results in an instant. Want to get approval of a loan, check current stock prices, see what movies are playing, and find out if the tickets are available? You can do it all online, where things happen fast. Here's a double whammy. Want to buy something now? The internet allows you to simply click a button and pay with your credit card or debit card. That appeals to impulse buying and instant gratification, not to mention ease. Make it a triple whammy. Your website can tap into this need for speed. Lock and loaded insight. The more payment options you can offer on your website, the better. Credit cards feed instant gratification by allowing consumers to satisfy their desires instantly and before they have the money to pay for what they want if necessary. There's nothing like an emergency to ratchet up the need for instant gratification. Relieving or avoiding pain is the number one reason that people take action. So your marketing copy should deliver the message. Stop suffering now. For example, a Florida homeowner whose roof blew off in Hurricane Widget doesn't want to wait to have it fixed. More than price and more than quality When he goes online and searches for roof repair, he's looking for a company that can help him now, right away. Which website offering do you think will grab his attention? Molasses Roof Repair. Call 555-1212 anytime. Widget Speed Roof. Call 555-1212 for same-day service 365 days a year. The subtext of the first message is we are accessible anytime. It promises instant accessibility, but not instant gratification, although, in fact, Melissa's Roof does send out its service people the same day a client calls in. The subtext of the second message is much more effective. The consumer translates same-day service as you'll get relief today. In the example below, instant gratification comes from the consumer's ability to download a product from the internet and get relief without having to leave home or wait long. Order Dr. Widget's Insomniac ebook online this evening and you have a good night's sleep tonight. People will buy a product that can be delivered instantly over a product that will take time to deliver. This is why downloadable ebooks are such a hit. Click a button, enter your credit card number, and in a matter of seconds, you've got what you ordered. There's no worry and no waiting. Widget Self-Tanner will instantly transform you from a humdrum to hot without spending hours on the beach. In the offer above, instant gratification is delivered by product benefits that a consumer can begin to enjoy mentally and immediately. The days of loyalty programs and discount campaigns and point systems are over. Once extremely effective in rewarding customers for their loyalty and patronage, they've fallen out of favor with online marketers because they force consumers to wait for the rewards. Consumers don't want to prove themselves worthy. They already think they are worthy and deserving of recognition and rewards today, not tomorrow. That's why websites like drugstore.com use instant discount coupons that can be redeemed immediately. It's also the reason that many websites have redesigned their points program to allow consumers to cash in fewer points for rewards. They are following the lead of airlines that have significantly reduced the points needed for upgrades and free tickets so that consumers can get small rewards more often. Forbidden psychological tactic number 42. What's new? Or new and improved. For most folks, no news is good news. For the press, good news is not news. Gloria Borger. Every time you add information or do something new on your site, you create a new opportunity to get more sales. For example, adding a weekly news release to your website gives existing customers, prospects who haven't bought yet, and new prospects excellent reasons to visit your site often. Once they're there and feeling grateful to you for providing free information, you can use the opportunity to sell them something. It would be a shame to waste time and effort on researching a great report or creating a list of invaluable online resources for a web page that would be taken down after just a few weeks. Someone who has never read your article on installing a widget in 3 steps doesn't care when it was written. It's news to them and valuable news at that. One of the most consumer magnetic assets on your site can be an information archive. Visitors will return again and again to access articles that are educational and meaningful or fun and entertaining. WidgetBridalFavors.com watched its traffic statistics shoot through the roof when the site added a feature that had nothing specifically to do with sales. A beefing bride's message board generated a flood of visitors who wanted to post funny stories of pre-wedding mishaps. The number of visitors to the site wasn't the only thing that increased. Widget loaded up the forum page with lots of product links and ads and special offers to take advantage of all that extra traffic. Now, maybe you don't want to be in the news business, or perhaps your product or service doesn't lend itself to funny pages. Don't worry, simply adding a new product or service to the list of those you already offer frequently produces a big increase in sales of your new and your old products too. Lock and loaded insight. Announcing a new addition to your product or service line can increase your sales in 3 different ways. It appeals to new customers who were not interested in your current offerings and draws them back to your site. It generates repeat sales from existing customers who like what you've sold them in the past and will come back to buy what's new. and it enables you to get bigger sales by bundling items into special package offers. Forbidden psychological tactic number 43. Sex sells. I don't know the answer, but sex is definitely the answer. Woody Allen. Want to know if sex still sells in the 21st century? Just think about the $1 million worth of free publicity and increased business that Paris Hilton's ad for Carl's Jr. generated. The 21st century sex kitten was eating a burger while hosing down a car and herself. Hot, 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 as well as incredibly effective. The barely clad model on the annual Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition generates sales to 59 million readers, compared with 21 million readers for the average SI cover with a fully clad male athlete. The Cosmo Sex Poll issue sold 2.3 million copies compared to with its average 1.7 million copies. Sex sells. And in addition to selling and generating that much needed attention, sex and sexual images leave a lasting impression on the human mind. This was demonstrated with startling clarity in a recent research study. The study found that billboards using sex appeal was remembered 91% by participants compared to those without sexual appeal. Consumers pay attention to things that have implications or consequences for their lives, especially if they appeal to their values and goals, like an active sex life. Consumers may not consciously be thinking sex, but subconsciously. Consumers also pay attention to people who look, act, or seem like them, thinking that they share the same interest in problems and because those people might know something that's of value to me, like how to have more and better sex. Online marketing messages need to attract attention quickly, so it's common to see the use of visuals of attractive people wearing provocative clothing or behaving sexually to generate attention and interest, especially, but not exclusively, from the male of species. Sex sells. And contrary to what you may think, it sells just as well to man and woman. It is, after all, a basic human instinct, not just his or hers. Sex is the second strongest of our instincts, right behind self-preservation. During the past 6 years, over 1.3 million sites serve up to 260 million pages of erotic content, according to a study released in September from the web filtering company N2H2. We like to think of ourselves as highly evolved creatures, light years away from the creatures that slip onto the land from primordial ooze. But no matter how civilized we are, our basic instincts like sex are still powering how we think, act, and buy. Lock and loaded insight. Sex sells, even when you are not selling sex. The sexually charged images in online advertising lead a consumer to believe that by purchasing the products, they will look like the beautiful people in the ads, have fun like the people in the ads, and have sex like the people in the ads. The main reason advertisers utilize sex appeal is so that other people will think that the consumer of the product is more attractive or desirable. Therefore, attractive models are used to gain attention from the consumer, even there's nothing sexy about the product. Advertisers use different strategies for each gender. A study conducted at Washington State University showed that a woman's body attracts a man's attention because men associate getting the woman with buying the product. Men view the world by using their instinct rather than intellect. Women, however, use intellect and romance, not just anatomy, as a means of relating to men. That's why ads targeting women are less explicit and will focus on romance rather than the sex act. Will sex sell for you? That depends on several things. Your product, your service, how you use sex, and the mindset of your target audience. The rules of the marketplace may not apply to your specific market. At its best, sex in advertising creates excitement and desire for a product. At its worst, it can create a scandal, even resulting in a boycott. Now, there was definitely a backlash response to Paris Hilton and Cards Jr. campaign. There are even more indicators that a shift towards a more conservative view of sex in general. In 2004, 5 of the top 10 box office moneymakers at the movies were PG. In fact, of the top 25, only 4 were rated R. Lock and loaded insight. The only way to know for sure if you can use sex to sell your product or service online is to try it. Testing different images and different copy concepts that have different levels of sexiness is the only way you can be sure. Forbidden psychological tactic number 44. Layer your offer and don't forget the icing on the layer cake. Onions have layers, ogres have layers. Shrek. If Shrek had any experience in internet marketing, he would know that the most successful online sales copy also has layers. At the heart of the message is the core offer. Of course, the nuts and bolts and benefits and the features of what's being sold. But a smart marketer surrounds the core with layer upon layer of extras, icing the cake until a consumer can't wait to eat it up. Then, when they think it's as good as it gets, hit them with, but wait, there's more. BWTM. Chefs talking about layering flavors in a recipe, adding taste to enhance the dish without overwhelming it. If you're eating chicken noodle, you want the chicken flavor to dominate, but the other ingredients create a richer and more satisfying experience. The same thing is true with the recipe for your marketing message. Layering includes all aspects of your offer. BWTM, but wait, there's more, is a phrase that can introduce bonuses, free gifts, delivery options, and even your guarantee. Each layer should stand on its own as an incredible incentive. Then when you combine all the layers, you've got an offer that is just too good to pass up. An important aspect of layering is that it gives consumers an opportunity to savor each aspect of your offer. Instead of overwhelming visitors with your whole enchilada of your offer in a single paragraph and giving them mental heartburn in the process, you can feed them the information slowly in a small, easily digested bits and bytes. If you sell a product, you can layer in professional services. For example, include a 6-month maintenance package with the purchase of an air conditioning unit, or make arrangements with a local cooking school and offer a coupon for a free cooking class with the purchase of a convection oven. If you sell a service, consider layering in free products. For example, an online tax consultant might offer free software or an ebook or legal tax deductions. A net-based astrologer could offer a birthstone or special amulet. Focusing on adding extras that will genuinely enhance your consumers' overall enjoyment of the transaction, as well as your product or service. Sticking with the cooking analogy here, your layers should complement the flavor of your offer, the way a good red wine complements a nice prime rib and a good white brings out the best in a piece of Alaska salmon. It's the same thing. Even the presentation of your key benefits should be individually layered and reiterated through your website. Introducing each benefit one by one highlights it briefly and then allows it to become part of the big picture of your offer. Do you know the kids game that begins, I'm going to grandma's house and I'm bringing an apple? And the second person says, I'm going to grandma's and I'm bringing an apple and a trombone. The game continues with each subsequent player repeating the list before adding a new item. It's amazing how the repetition anchors each item in your head, allowing you to remember a great deal in a short span of time. What's also amazing is the power of repetition can create a long-term memory that lingers for quite a while after the game is over. Now imagine harnessing that power to stick your layered offer into your prospect's brain. By carefully layering in extra irresistible incentives throughout your online message, you can whip your prospect into a buying frenzy that would be fanatically looking for the click here to buy now button before you even try and close the sale. Can layering backfire? Sometimes. Like a banana split made with too much syrup, whipped cream, and cherries and hot fudge. An offer can also be so richly layered that it is indigestible. A consumer can't appreciate all the flavor and details of what you're selling. Your challenge is to provide as much layered information as possible in the most easily accessible way you can. If you layer on too much information, you run the risk of overwhelming the consumer and obscuring your offer. When you are layering, try to say more with less. One way to accomplish this and combat consumer information overload is with short sentences, lists and bullet points, etc., etc. Lock and loaded insight. Next to driving the right targeted traffic to your website, nothing will have a greater impact on your response rate than the way you structure your offer. Forbidden psychological tactic number 45. That's an order. Embedded commands. Your wish is my command. Embedded commands are an online marketer's army of resistance fighters. They are designed to create positive reader expectancies while reducing the natural resistance a reader has to your sales message. They allow you to speak directly to your prospect's unconscious mind, overcoming objections and breaking down sales barriers in a completely covert kind of way. Embedded commands are hidden suggestions that fit carefully into your copy without calling attention to their existence. They are a sophisticated and extremely powerful psychological technique for communicating with readers on a subliminal level. Like post-hypnotic suggestions, subliminal commands bypass the scrutiny of the conscious mind, making their way unchallenged into your prospect's unconscious memory. Nestled there, you can call on them to influence behavior without the reader being aware of your manipulation. The subconscious is looking for patterns, and you can establish a pattern with just one or two commands. That means that embedded commands are most effective when they are used in massive quantities. You repeat and repeat them throughout your sales message, and with each repetition, they are dug in more deeply into your prospect's unconscious mind. Then when it's time to close the sale, you just help those embedded commands come to the surface. And the amazing thing is your prospect won't know that you are pulling the strings. The urge to buy now will seem like a completely self-generated idea. Ultimately, embedded commands are used to get prospects marching in lockstep towards the sale. They help the reader come to a faster decision and motivate that reader to respond to your call to action. Embedded commands are composed of small segments of larger statements, words or lines in a paragraph, for example, which are marked out for the attention of the reader's unconscious mind, exactly like the phrase you just read. Some of the forms these subliminal persuaders might take on your website could be visual. They pull a prospect's eye to them to make the words that they highlight more powerful. For example, underlined words, hidden suggestions in a quote, use of italics, capital letters. Other embedded commands, they rely on language to do their work. Hidden questions, implications, presuppositions, imply cause and effect statements, word associations, use of ambiguity, use of partial remarks. To really understand how embedded commands work, you must first realize that when people are reading your web page, they don't think of it as words on a page. They think of it as you talking to them. As your prospect is reading along, his or her mind is fully engaged, thinking about what you're writing and participating in a mental dialogue with you, even you're not there. As your prospect read your copy, they're also asking mental questions as though they were actually talking to you. This means that you are in their brains where you can redirect their thinking towards the outcome you want, a sale. Forbidden psychological tactic number 46. Building success on common ground. Our similarities bring us to a common ground. Our difference allows us to be fascinated by each other. Tom Robbins. You would think that all it takes for online success is a product or service that truly does a good job providing a solution to a consumer problem. Well, that's almost all that's necessary. But there's one more element that you need to add to guarantee your success, and that's rapport. To establish rapport, to show that you're on common ground, you need to talk to consumers in the same language they use when they talk to each other. Now, as you already know, consumers like to do business with people like themselves in the hopes that their needs and desires will be mirrored and met. When you find a common ground between yourself and your prospect, you create rapport and the all-important ambience that says, I understand you. Each of us speaks the language of 1,000 tiny subcultures related to what we do for a living, where we reside, our religion, our hobbies, and our passions. Auto mechanics speak auto talk and use words like pistoning.
This
and
is
high
Mike
octane
Chamberlain.
in their regular conversation.
We hope you have enjoyed this
Systems
unabridged
analysts use the
production
jargon
of
technology,
Rework
even if they're not
by
talking
Jason
about
Fried
computers.
and David
Frenchmen
Heinemeier
think in
Hansen.
French and Spanish think in Spanish. And America's urban youth think in language that their parents swear is anything but English. We all speak and think with the words and expressions that define who we are and where we are grounded. The wording of your message should make your prospect say, we speak the same language. This potent realization means that you've connected on an important level and identified yourself as friend, not foe. Lock and loaded insight. If you haven't done so already, you should identify and use buzzwords to position yourself as one of them. Instead of being an outsider who is trying to sell them something, buzzwords are found on your competitors' sites, in trade publications, and anywhere they're talking about your product or service. People trust their friends and are suspicious of people who are trying to sell them things. Business friends form a friendly relationship based on mutual trust and common interest. Business friends have rapport. If you can position your site as a buyer's information center rather than just a sales office, you'll be offering advice, not a hot sell. Establishing rapport requires sensitivity. A brief joke can do more for buyer rapport than 10 pages of sales copy. Now, unless the buyer is a serious sort who finds humor a time waster and piles on information a must for his buying decision. So just how do you establish rapport with your soon-to-be new friend? Well, first, you need to get to know your prospect. Ask yourself a couple questions about the kind of people who are visiting your site. Or better yet, ask them yourself in an online survey. You see, many marketers avoid online surveys because they think consumers will be turned off. The opposite is true. Given the opportunity, prospects that visit your site will love to tell you their stories. And that's because most people share a favorite topic of conversation, themselves. Now, if you skip the chapter on surveys, now is a perfect time to go back and give that a listen. Your survey questions can be about specific things that apply to your product or service, or general lifestyle questions like, are you a homeowner? Are you serious or lighthearted? Are you someone who watches MTV, VH1, or the Lawrence Welk Hour? Are you a night owl or an early bird? Do you consider yourself high energy or laid back? Are you demanding or easygoing? In addition to your questions, you should always include a section for freestyling. This gives your prospects an opportunity to express themselves in their own words, their own buzzwords, on any topic that's of interest to them, like themselves. Lock and loaded insight. People do indeed love to talk about themselves, and they reveal quite a bit when they do. Their responses to your questions will provide insight into their mood, personality, and conversational style. Researchers have identified 4 major communication styles that most people are comfortable with when expressing themselves. I have saved the best for last, the biggest, boldest, most unstoppable tactic to turn your website into a sales juggernaut and make it so much easier to change every visitor from a prospect into a buyer. Forbidden psychological tactic number 47. For more sales, stop selling. Don't sell them, tell them. The ABC approach to sales, always be closing, was the way traditional marketers try to convince a prospect to buy. The theory was that the more you hammered, try to make the sale, the more often you will succeed. The theory, as it turns out, was dead wrong. Today's online marketers are throwing the traditional ABC sales mindset out the door and replacing it with the new acronym, ABCF. Always be customer focused. Customer focused selling, CFS. It's not just an adaptation of existing selling techniques to focus more on the customer. Instead, it's a whole new approach that can barely even be called selling. Research shows that you make more sales by initiating a mental dialogue with a prospect than by presenting them a sales pitch monologue. Instead of fixating on closing as your central objective, focus on whether what you have to offer is a good fit for your potential client. If your offer is a good one, your client will close himself. The best marketers aren't the best talkers, although many of them could charm the pants right off you. I promise you that. But they're the best listeners. They know how to hear what prospects are really saying and what they're not saying. Master online marketers are tuned in to all the nasty little mental objections that stop a prospect from becoming a buyer, and they know how to ask just the right questions and provide just the right answers at just the right time to move the conversation along, i.e. one step closer to the sell. Customer-focused selling means helping your customer. To achieve that goal, you need to be focused on clearly demonstrating as many benefits as possible that address your customer's objectives, not yours. Today more than ever, each customer has very unique concerns, and you can't sell until you find out what those concerns are. Let's say you are a widget wholesaler trying to sell to a retailer. You might assume that all he cares about is how many of your widgets his customers will buy, but you would be wrong. Your retail client has a variety of concerns and demands that are unique to his situations. He needs to know how the product will affect his overall product mix, how your payment plan impacts his budget, the shelf life of your widgets, and even whether you can provide a reliable restocking schedule. Those are the things you need to tell them. Online buyers are on information overload, faced with so many facts and claims and statistics that they feel like experts on almost any subject. They are sick and tired of slick, high-tech presentations that are flashy, without substance. And they don't want to see you do the whole dog and pony show about how great you are and how great your company is and how wonderful your product or service is. They want to have their needs met, period. So, what you can offer is a presentation that addresses their concerns and issues, and only their concerns and issues. And if you can provide something more, that's great. But you must first address their primary concerns. Lock and loaded insight. Stop trying to close the sale, and you will discover that you don't have to take responsibility for moving the sales process forward if you simply focus your two-way marketing conversation on the solutions you provide. And if you don't jump the gun by trying to move the sales process forward, you will find that the potential clients will actually bring you into their buying process, thinking of you as a trusted advisor and not an untrustworthy sales shark. So think of yourself as an insider. Present yourself as a knowledgeable consultant whose job is to help a prospect with the tools, the products or services that are available on your site. Customer-focused selling means not shining the spotlight on your great products or wonderful services. It means instead focusing entirely on your prospect's needs. Think of your marketing message in terms of how it can help customers find solutions that will help them achieve their objectives, to ease pain, work less, look better, not in terms of how it can make you look better. And that's the way to get rich, whatever kind of widget you sell on your site. Conclusion. Congratulations, you've done it. You've earned your belt in forbidden psychological tactics for website conversion. And it's going to spell the difference between being a successful marketer and a made-in-the-shade entrepreneur who could retire tomorrow but just can't resist making more money. Now, don't get cocky. You're not a black belt yet, and neither am I. Although I'm certainly a master in my field, one of the most successful and highly paid professionals out there, like the greatest achievers in any field, I know there's always more to learn. So best wishes for success online and offline in whatever you do. This is Dan Lok, and I want to thank you for listening.
This has been a Gildan audio production. For more affordable life-changing audio programs, visit our website at gildanmedia.com.